Stand up, New York Giant fans. I have a bunch of things I want to talk about today. There's a couple of, a lot of smaller topics, I guess. Also want to recap the preseason game with you guys. Was busy yesterday, meant to go live yesterday, but figured I'd go live today. There's a lot to talk about. The cuts still haven't come out, but the deadline from what I have read is 4 o'clock. So we'll get to hear the updated cuts for the New York Giants. They're only going to have to cut 3 players due to the fact that they put both Reese and John and I think Quincy Wilson on IR. So they're going to cut 3 players today as they got to get down to 80. We're going to, of course, talk about the news today with Tom Coughlin, the unfortunate news there. We're going to start there. I figured out how to pull up quotes, by the way, guys, so I'll be able to show the quotes during the live stream. I also, in the future, maybe even today, if I could play with it, may even clip some of these live streams so you guys could watch them in individual videos if you guys are more interested in that, so you don't have to sit through a Q&A live stream if you want to get the information. But a bunch of other topics as well. We're going to talk about Daniel Jones making his first start of the year in preseason. He's going to play 2 quarters. That came out from Joe Judge. And I thought a lot of the things that Joe Judge had to say about his return to New England were really intriguing. And he spoke very highly about being a New York Giant. So I want to talk about all of that in the live stream, pull up some of the quotes for you guys, and of course, answer a lot of your guys' questions. Always have a lot of fun with these. We'll tinker with the time today. I had to do it a little bit earlier. I know in the past, recently, a lot of you guys have asked me to do these at about 4 o'clock because of school or whatever it else may be. Maybe we'll push it back a little later. Today, I had to do it a little bit earlier. Dog sitting for my friend, so I got to be there to feed the dog. Otherwise, I probably would have done it at 4 o'clock. And what's going on, Rudy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. The entertainer talking sports burner. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat before we get to you, my man. Albert in the chat, Andrew in the chat, Uncle Freddie in the chat, Rudy in the chat, Anthony in the chat, Amazing Guy in the chat, Moose in the chat, and Andrew in the chat, Tony B, Diggy in the chat. What's going on? Cushmaster KP in the chat. Thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate it. Pack Rat. Of course, I saw Afghanistan earlier. Nilo Kelly in the chat, George Olson in the chat. Who is ready for some New York Giants football? We got 1 preseason game left on Sunday. It's going to be a full dress rehearsal. From what it sounds like, the starters are going to play a full half, maybe even a little bit more from the way that Joe Judge kind of left it off. So we'll see what the New York Giants ultimately decide to do. We pray that they stay healthy. We've had a couple of injuries, of course, and we'll talk about that throughout the stream as well. We haven't heard much about John Ross, Rudolph, Galladay, Barkley still rehabbing from that injury. There's been news about that they're going to ramp it up a little bit. Maybe he gets a little action in the preseason game. I hope not. But we got a lot to talk about. We got football coming soon. So I cannot wait to talk about regular season games with you guys real soon. But entertainment, talking sports burner, thank you very much. Chris, not Giants related, but did you see the Spider-Man trailer? I think it's, I actually posted about that on Twitter yesterday. Trailer looks insane. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I can't wait. I can't wait to see that movie. I think it looks incredible. They're going to bring back the old Spider-Man, the old villains. They showed Doc Ock in the trailer. But let's jump right into the news, man. And yeah, I heard about Travis Etienne, which is horrible news, obviously, for Trevor Lawrence. He's got a struggling offensive line to begin with. And he doesn't have any premier weapons, really, for the most part. Laviska Shenault. I mean, I don't know. Travis Etienne going down is definitely not good news for Trevor Lawrence. And we'll see, how he's able to play through the season. I think he's going to struggle a little bit for a rookie, but we'll see. I mean, he's obviously supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks to come out in quite some time. Riley, man, thank you very much. I've been stuck in quarantine for the past week. I should return back to basic training Monday, but your videos have been a great way to. I appreciate that, Riley, man. Thank you very much. I'll have videos up recapping the practices tomorrow and Thursday as well. The Giants and New England are going to have joint practices, so I'll definitely talk about that, give my opinion on all the things that come out. But I want to start with Tom Coughlin, and let me get the quotes ready. I only pulled up one quote for this, but I wanted to start with Tom Coughlin, and obviously Tom Coughlin to me, and a lot of people that are Giants fans my age, he's our guy, right? I didn't get to experience Bill Parcells with the New York Giants. I didn't get to appreciate Bill Parcells with the New York Giants. I got to see Bill Parcells a lot when he was with the New York Jets, later in his career, but I didn't really get to appreciate him with the New York Giants. And Tom Coughlin is my guy. Always been I love him as a head coach. Him and Eli Manning, my favorite player of all time, have always been linked at the hip. And horrible news came out today about his wife, Judy. And I'm going to pull up the quote, but really sad news, I'm sure they're in every Giants fan's prayers, but I read it today, man, and my heart sunk. And you could tell how much Tom Coughlin cares for his wife. And I know a lot of Giants fans were probably hit hard by that, including myself. So I just want to talk briefly about that in case you guys haven't heard. His wife is very sick. So, Slide Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, yo, I listen to you from every stream you go. I appreciate that, Slide Man. Thank you very much, man, for popping in, man. When are the cut? It's Max. It's going to happen live. Yes, it's the deadline's 4:00, so it's going to happen during the live stream, and we'll talk about it when I do. But I want to pull up some of the quotes for you guys, and this is the quote that I pulled up. It was from a New York Times article actually, and this is coming from Tom Coughlin. Taking care of my Judy is a promise I made 54 years ago when she was crazy enough to say I do. Tom added, I do want the players I coached in college and in the NFL who thought all my crazy ideas about discipline, commitment, and accountability ended when they left the field to know that is not the case. The truth is, that is when those qualities matter most. A friend said, we don't get to choose our sunset, and that's not true. And that's true, rather. But I am so blessed to get to hold Judy's hand through hers. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but really sad. It sounds like she's not in good shape. And, obviously prayers go out to Tom Coughlin. That was kind of one of the major storylines today. And my heart sank when I read that. Luann, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Cajun Man's about to get blocked. Thank you for popping into the stream. Just read this stuff about, Coughlin. And we'll talk a little bit about Coughlin now. Any questions you guys may have. And then we're going to get to some of the other things as well. I want to pull up some of the quotes that Joe Judge had to say regarding the New England Patriots and everything else, man. What's going on there, Big Blue Man? What's going on there, Adil, man? Thanks for popping in. Adil says Kenny Golladay is made of glass. Well, yeah, that's going to be a very that people are going to worry about that going into the season, right? Kenny Galladay's barely played. It's not just him. It's Tony. It's Rudolph. It's Barkley, but that was expected. Barkley's actually, I think, ahead of schedule. But yeah, I think people are going to be concerned with Kenny Golladay. He's got an injury that could definitely re-aggravate itself. I personally, and I keep saying this, I think the Giants are being very cautious. I think Galladay's going to be able to go week 1. Maybe I'm thinking optimistically. I'm not panicking about it. Not yet anyway. I don't think he's going to play in this game, though. I think the Giants are going to be very cautious, much like they've been with a lot of players throughout this training camp. And I don't think they're going to rush him back. But I do expect him out there week 1. But even if he plays week 1 a deal, by no means do I think it's a sure thing that he's going to stay completely healthy all year. I definitely think that's something you got to worry about. Obviously, Tony, Rudolph, everything else. So, yeah, I think it's a fair concern going into the year. What's going on there, Steve? Man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. Look at the mop on that head. What's up, Steve? Man, thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. We knew that going. Yes, Golladay missed 11 games last year, and a lot of people said it might not have just been due to injury. It might have been, the fact that he did, was kind of sitting out due to free agency. He wasn't on a good team, but regardless, he's had injury problems in the past. So we'll see. And George, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Joe Judge returns to New England with the New York Giants. The Empire State strikes back. George, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. We're going to talk about that. And Max, we'll talk about the surprise cuts as well that I could see throughout the stream. But I really wanted to dive into Joe Judge because some of the quotes that Joe Judge had to say, it got me pumped up as a Giant fan. And obviously that's a big storyline this week, right? Joe Judge going back to New England, which I don't really get. Maybe somebody could explain that to me. Why would they go to New England and then play in New York? Why wouldn't they just have to practice in New York? I didn't really get that. So the Giants have to go to New England Wednesday and Thursday, and then they'll be playing them in New Jersey on Sunday. I don't know. I thought it would have made more sense to just have them travel here, but regardless, that's what they're doing. But Joe Judge going back to New England for the first time, and since obviously he left the organization, and the Giants and New England supposedly are in talks of making this a yearly thing, where they have joint practices. Of course, they play each other in preseason all the time. They're in talks of having joint practices, making it a yearly thing. Now, I would think on years where the Giants and Patriots play one another, they wouldn't do it, right, in the regular season. But they are in talks of doing that on a regular basis in terms of inter-squad scrimmages. Steve, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. He says, hiya, bud. How's it going, mate? You think Ellerson Smith gets to play against the Pats? I don't. No, Tony, I don't. It doesn't sound like Tony's going to play. Somebody asked about Tony. It doesn't sound like he's going to play. I don't think Ellerson Smith's going to play. And Stephen Lilly, I'll take it a step further. If I had to guess from everything I'm reading, there's a strong possibility that Ellerson Smith's not going to start the year. He might be on the IR or the PUP to start the year. We'll see. But he's been banged up throughout training camp. They were kind of not on the same page between Judge and Gettleman when they explained it. But I would guess Ellerson Smith may not even be ready by week 1. I very much doubt he's going to be playing here against the New England Patriots. I'm very confident in that. Tony, we haven't gotten a lot of clarity. It's mainly just speculation as to what it may be. A lot of people are kind of pointing to COVID. And we remember last year when Will Hernandez had COVID and he came back, the New York Giants kind of eased him back in. And a lot of people are kind of speculating that may be the case here as well. Of course, he had COVID when training camp started. We haven't really had much clarity in terms of what the injury is, but I have not heard any updates on Tony. That's for sure. I know he's been catching balls, but he hasn't been running routes. To my knowledge, hasn't really been running team drills. So the Giants are taking it slow with him as well. Bill, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. My man, Taj in the chat. What's going on, Ms. Rod? Thank you to everybody for being here, by the way. I try to say that every time as much as I can. I know there's a lot of people in here, so I'm not going to be able to shout everybody out, but thank you to everybody for being here. I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of these during the season, at least 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's the plan right now. And, of course, live streaming all the Giants games, and any NFC East games. So it's going to be a really fun football season, but there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about today. Said I'll go live talk with you guys. So thank you to everybody for all the support that you always show on the channel. And Bill, man, thank you very much. I get Judge giving guys a shot to make the team in the first 2 games, but not getting DJ some live reps in a series or 2 seems strange. Thoughts? Yeah, have to talk about that. We'll get to the quotes from Judge in a bit, and about Jones in a bit. That's obviously a major storyline, and I figured I'd go live and after the pregame recap rather than make a video about it and talk to you guys, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions about that. That's kind of been a major storyline on Twitter, just Giants fans in general. Why have the New York Giants not played Daniel Jones at all in the preseason? And Bill, the first thing I'm going to say, obviously this year there's a change. There's only 3 preseason games. I personally would have played him. I didn't mind at all him not playing week 1. Didn't mind at all. I would have played him week 2, but I'm not going to go ballistic. I look around the NFL, 13 of the 32 NFL quarterbacks, including Daniel Jones, that are starters have not played in a preseason game so far through the first 2 weeks. And of the 19 remaining, 5 are first-year rookies who have played, first-round rookies, I should say. First year, all rookies are first year. 5 of the 19 are first-round rookies. 2 of them are quarterback battles, that being the Saints and that being, I forgot the other team, but another team that's competing to see who's going to be the starting quarterback. And there was like 3 or 4 other circumstances where it was obvious that the starter was going to have to play in preseason to evaluate him. We know that Jones is going to be the starter. The way I look at it, and I'm with you, I would have preferred to see him go out there. The way I look at it, Bill, this is just my personal opinion on why I'm not going to flip out. First off, they had practices ahead of time. Second, which they don't normally have in recent memory, the inter-squad practices. So maybe Judge felt like he got a fair evaluation that way. He also may have felt like he didn't want to put him out there after he got beat up a little bit in practice. Not just him, but the first unit in general. That, to me, is probably his reasoning. And if we're being honest, he probably doesn't want to get him hurt. He also probably looks at it like this, Bill, if I'm being honest. The Browns weren't starting their starters. They weren't playing. They were playing all second and third teamers. The Giants didn't have any of their pieces to start. And he probably said to himself, listen, I got a better evaluation going against the Browns' first teamers in scrimmages than I'll get with him going out in a preseason game, going up against the second and third unit. Even if Jones has a good game, how much do you really read into that, being that he's not going against NFL starters? I'm not going to kill Judge for that. I'm not going to go crazy about it. He's going to play 2 quarters or more this week against what we hope is a starting unit for the New England Patriots. And we'll see how they ultimately do. I actually thought one of the takeaways from that game, we'll talk about it throughout the stream, the second team offensive line did much better. And again, I'm not going to go crazy about it. I'm not going to get excited about it because we didn't go up against the first unit of the Cleveland Browns, right? So it's really hard to evaluate that, right? Carter Coughlin, a guy I'm really rooting for, a guy that I thought looked great. O'Shane Ximines, a guy that I thought looked great, but they look great against the second and third unit. Let's see how they do against the first unit. I'm hoping we get to see Carter Coughlin a little bit against the first unit because he's really stood out so far in training camp, but we haven't gotten him to see him how he does when he goes up against a starting NFL roster. That's a guy I really got my eye on. He's looked really good. He was one of the big standouts in that preseason game. I thought Devontae Booker looked great. I thought Mike Glennon looked much better than week 1, and I'm definitely confident that he's a suitable backup quarterback going into the year. I think there were definitely some pros to take out of that preseason game, but at the same time, you got to kind of scale it back a little bit because we weren't going against NFL starters. John Letourneau, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Stand up, the entertainer. You're the man, my friend. The Mets are who? What? Who didn't think that? Listen, man, I hope the same thing transitions to the Giants because they stink. Will you ring my bell? What's going on, John, man? Glad to see you, buddy. Listen, man, the Mets have completely fallen to hell. I don't know what I don't have words to describe how poor the Mets have played. So it's been a disaster for the Mets this year. Really since the All-Star break. And the Burner, man, thank you very much. I was watching Washington versus the Bengals, and Fitztragic struggled against the Bengals' first-team defense. Same with the Pats. I saw that too. I saw the highlights. I didn't get to see the totality of the game, but I saw the highlights of Fitzpatrick, the entertainer Burner. And I'm gonna tell you what, man, he don't look good. He don't look good. And I think Fitzpatrick is absolutely going to start the year for the Washington football team, but don't be surprised if there's a quick hook there. Last year, I think we all thought going into the year that Ron Rivera, even though there were rumors that he wasn't in love with Dwayne Haskins, was going to give Haskins more than 3 games or whatever it was. He had a very quick hook. If Fitzpatrick struggles the first 3 or 4 games, the way that Taylor Heineke has performed in preseason, and again, it's against second units, but he's performed much better than Fitzpatrick by all accounts. Don't be surprised if they have a quick hook on the quarterback, but Fitzpatrick does not scare me at all. I've been saying that this entire offseason. Michael, man, thank you very much. Sorry, I know there's a Giants podcast. People sleeping on us. Callaway looked like a monster. How that guy got undrafted. Winston. Yeah, I know you're a big Saints fan. I actually tweeted about you guys on Twitter last night while I was watching the game. I said half of the fantasy football teams in the world picked up Callaway. He looked great. He made that great catch in the end zone. I had over 100 yards, I think, in the first quarter. And Winston looks – I thought Winston was going to be good. You put him there. They have the best offensive line arguably in football. You got Sean Payton, the mastermind. So I think Winston's going to do good for you guys, and I think he's going to ultimately end up winning the starting quarterback job for the Saints. G-Nation, man, thank you very much. Yo, Tana, let's go Giants. Yeah, 3 roster moves by 4 o'clock today. Tony, I saw you say that in the chat. Yep, by 4 o'clock. So we're going to be live when it happens. I figured I'd go live now because I could only go to about 4:45, 4:50, maybe 5. So I figured I'd be live while it happens. We'll talk about it. Maybe there'll be a surprise cut. I doubt it. Now, here's what I'll say about the cuts today, though, Tony. And then we're going to get into some of the quotes I wanted to talk about. But here's what I'm going to say about some of the cuts today. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, a lot of people probably feel like they're going to obviously cut like the worst guys that are still on the team. I don't feel like that'll necessarily be the case. I could see the Giants cutting guys at areas where they're not so thin at, and also cutting guys that they want to give an opportunity to latch on with another NFL team that they legitimately feel could make an NFL roster. So don't be surprised if it's like a pretty notable player that gets cut today. That's all I'm going to say. I don't expect any of the guys that we think are going to be starters or anything like that to be cut, but maybe a guy that you think is kind of on the bubble in terms of making this football team. Don't be surprised if one of those guys get cut. Now, when you look at how thin we are at certain positions, I don't think any offensive linemen are getting cut today. Maybe a corner, but you saw we were not starting, but we put a wide receiver at corner in the last preseason game. That shows you how thin we were at that position. I think Bachman, when I really thought about it after the fact, is probably going to be cut. He has not been inspiring. We have a lot of wide receivers competing for that back end spot. I don't think he's making the team. I could easily see a guy like Alex Bachman getting cut. I know a lot of people have brought up Devontae Downs. He's a possibility. Madre Harper's a possibility. Sam Beal's a possibility. We'll see what they ultimately end up deciding to do. Balby, man, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in. Tana, would you rather keep Hernandez or Peppers if both have great years? And listen, I love Peppers. I want to keep both. But if Will Hernandez has a great year, the answer for me is Will Hernandez. And I'm going to tell you why. We talk about continuity on the offensive line all the time. If Will Hernandez has a great year, why would I let him go? As much as I love Peppers, we drafted McKinney already, and we already signed Logan Ryan. Not to mention we drafted Aaron Robinson in the 3rd round this year to help bolster the future of that secondary. So I would love to keep both, but if Hernandez has a really good year, I think Hernandez is your number 1 priority for this year's free agency class. That's my honest opinion. But of course, he's got to produce. He's got to have a good year. We'll see what they ultimately end up doing this year. But if the offensive line is performing pretty well, I don't want to break that up. I don't want to go out there and have to draft another offensive lineman to replace Hernandez if he's the guy. Of course, if the contract is reasonable, I'm not going to pay him an exorbitant amount of money. But if the contract is reasonable, I think Will Hernandez, if he's really good this year, would be my priority if I was the Giants GM. That's just me personally. I know most people would probably say Peppers. Stephen Lilly, man, thank you very much. Which offensive line player do you think will get? Which offensive line player do you think gets cut that we pick up? Yeah, Lily. I'm going to be complete. Obviously, I know the guys that are out there, the writers, the DeCastros, the people that people have been talking about this entire time. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know enough about the back end of every roster in the NFL to tell you a specific name that will pick up. I did read that the Browns had a lot of depth on the offensive line when we were playing them this week. They thought the Giants could have been scouting out some of their back end offensive linemen. I'm not going to be able to give you an individual name, but what I could guarantee you, Steven, the Giants are going to monitor it. And I think the Giants are absolutely going to pick up another offensive lineman. They may be downplaying it right now, but when you look at the depth of our offensive line outside of the starters, what do we got? We got 2 guys that you can depend on in a pinch, and that's Nate Solder and Harrison. And after that, you got an undrafted free agent in Hedgie. what do you got? I mean, really? So Slade. So, I mean, I think the Giants need to monitor it, and I think eventually they're going to pick somebody up. Who it's going to be, I can't give you a name, but it's going to be a guy that just misses a roster. I think that somebody that just misses the 53 on another team as an interior offensive lineman, preferably, the New York Giants are going to go out there and they're going to snack. I think that's the plan, but we'll see. There's no guarantees. I got to think that's where they're leaning, though. They picked up Looney. They had Fulton. They lost those guys. They didn't really replace him with anybody. It would lead you to believe that if there's an opportunity to bring somebody in here that they feel like can make a difference, they're going to do it. Let's see what we got here. Cut Madre Harper's going to get cut. But I wanted to, maybe not today, but he'll be cut before the year starts. I wanted to get into a couple of quotes that got me fired up about Joe Judge when talking about the New York Giants. Let me just get this. Jameson, what's going on, man? Don't know if I saw you earlier. This is Judge talking about going back to New England. Obviously, that's a major storyline coming in this week due to the fact that he came from there, right? And everybody always talks about the Bill Belichick disciple, so on and so forth. This is really just a great, and I got these off GiantsWire.com, by the way. This is really just a great opportunity for us to go up there and work against a quality opponent. This isn't some kind of trip down memory lane. I wouldn't bring the team up there for any kind of personal reasons, just the team we're going to play anyway in the preseason. We know we could get quality work in with them, and it should be a week to help our team progress like last week did, and we benefited. And he's basically just telling the press there, listen, guys, I'm not going up there to have a good time. I'm not going up there to shake the hand of Bill Belichick, be his friend. I'm going up there to be a New York Giant. Then he went on to say, I'm sure it'll be a little bit different coaching against a lot of those players for the first time, but to be honest with you, I'm a New York Giant, said Judge. I'm focused on getting our team developed and ready for the season. This is a great opportunity to work against a good opponent, very well coached, and to go up there and make sure that we hit some specific situations and focuses that both teams need in the regular season. So I love the way that he hit those head on and just talked about, that he's not there to reminisce about good times with the New England Patriots. Scotty H, man, you be good, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. We are going 14-3. Book it. You calm down, my man. The only thing that's important to me is the New York Giants. That's what it's about right here. This week, going up is helping the Giants get better, and that's what our focus is, Judge added, when talking more about the New England Patriots. Chris, you watched the new Spider-Man trailer? Of course I did. It was fantastic. Somebody asked me about that earlier at the top of the stream. Does Beal have any trade value? No. Why would he? Well, I mean, outside of the fact that he was, thought to be a pretty high draft prospect. That's why the New York Giants got him in the supplemental draft. Why would he have any trade value? The guy's proven nothing since he's been in the league. He's been injury plagued. He sat out last year due to COVID, and I'm not knocking him for that, but the guys have played in over a year, and he hasn't been good when he has played. So, no, I don't think he carries any trade value. Chadix, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, Tana, if you could choose one player on the Giants outside of Jones to be an All-Pro player, who would it be? Yeah, of course, it's always going to be the quarterback. You know what? This year, if I could choose one player to be an All-Pro player in the New York Giants that's not Daniel Jones, I'm going to go with who I think is the most important player outside of Daniel Jones, and that's the left tackle, and that's Andrew Thomas. If Andrew Thomas plays at a near All-Pro level, that's going to do wonders for this New York Giants football team and the offense. We haven't had a top-tier left tackle in quite some time, so if I could choose one guy in this team to play at an All-Pro level, it's the left tackle, man. It's that blindside protection for Daniel Jones. So I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas. And obviously you could say a number of players. You could say Saquon Barkley. You could say James Bradbury. You could say Leonard Williams, Jabril Peppers, but I got to go Thomas, man. To me, that's the second most important position in football, the quarterback and the guy that protects his blind side. What's going on, Jai? Thanks for popping in the stream. Most of our offseason additions are hurt. Yeah, and amazing guy. That's a concern going into the year. I'm not going to lie about that. That's a concern going into the year. Even if they play week one, they haven't developed much chemistry with Daniel Jones. Tony really hasn't played at all. Galladay's barely played. Barkley has barely played. So, yeah, and it's why I keep kind of setting the expectations that I think this Giants offense is going to get off to a little bit of a slow start. Now, Do I think it's going to be like it was last year where it takes 8 weeks to get anything going? No, but I think it could take 2 or 3 weeks, especially when you factor in the defenses we're going up against the first 2 weeks. I think the Giants are going to have to come out with a good game plan, not turn the football over, and rely on that defense the first 2 weeks to get some W's. William, man, thank you very much. What's up, Entertainer? What do you think about Matt Cole? I love him. I don't think he's going to make the team, if I'm being honest, but I love him. I want to talk about Ryan Santoso also, by the way, but Matt Cole, man, you want to talk about a guy that Joe Judge should be in love with? This is a guy that's willing to do anything. He's playing wide receiver. He's playing cornerback. He's a special team. He's a special team specialist. So he's a guy that I think Joe Judge has a lot of appreciation for. He's come out and he's talked about him, and you have to love his attitude. This is a guy that has not played cornerback since high school, they said. And Judge says, listen, we want to see you at cornerback. We want to see what you got. And he went out there at the preseason game and he gave it all he had. I would guess Cole's probably going to make the practice squad. I think the Giants probably think pretty highly about him. From everything that you're reading, he seems like he's got a great attitude, but I still think he's a long shot to make this football team in terms of the 53-man roster. I would guess that he's going to make the practice squad, though. Cole is young, Kevin says. Golladay needs to prove he's healthy enough to start. Yeah, of course. Yes, he's not going to go out there if he's not close to 100% week one. That's for damn sure. I'm going to continue to say that I think they're being cautious, but I'm not a doctor. I don't have the ins with that organization. That's just me assuming, and that's what I would do. I wouldn't want him to re-aggravate the injury before, obviously I don't want him to do it at all, but I definitely wouldn't put him in a position to re-aggravate it before the season starts. Dan Duggan said he knows all the cuts, but the last 3, and he would believe the last 3 are our backup long snapper, Madre Harper, Josh Jackson, or Montre. Why would they I can't picture them trading Jackson. Dropping Jackson, rather. They just traded for him. I doubt it. Listen, maybe that'll happen. That would be a bit of a surprise for me. Hardage, I definitely think, is going to be cut. And the same could be said for Harper. I'd be surprised if they cut Josh Jackson. We traded for him. So I don't expect that. Do you think Tony will play on – is Max still on the team? I believe he is, but he's not going to make the team. Might make the practice squad. Do you think Tony will play on Sunday? No, I don't. And if he does, it'll be a very limited role. The guy hasn't played. The guy hasn't played in practice at all. It's not like Daniel Jones, who's getting all the reps. He's been playing. He's been staying healthy, so on and so forth. Tony hasn't been playing. So no, and I'm going to take it a step further. I think Tony's going to have a very limited role when the season starts, even if he's ready to go week 1, which I think he will. I don't think he's going to get many reps at all. He's barely played in the preseason. So how could you expect a rookie to go in there and have a big-time role to start the year? So I don't expect Tony to be used that much at the beginning of the year. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's my expectations going in. The same can be said for Ross, though. He's barely played as well also. That's been the bad news with this Giants wide receiving core so far, and just the weapons in general so far this preseason. Batgirl, she says, that sure is. What's going on, Batgirl? Good to see you. I saw you comment on one of my videos. The Mets have just been so bad. I just can't find it in myself to sit through 4 hours of it. I watch them, but to call a baseball game, the Mets have been so bad. They did win yesterday, though, but I did see your comment on my video. And I'm looking forward to talking to you a lot more throughout the season. Stephen Lilly, man, thank you very much. I know everyone's talking offense, but I'm so excited about our defense this year. We should call them the terrorists because we're going to terrorize offenses. Lily, I'm with you on the defense. And I think every Giants fan in this chat, obviously some more excited than others, but I think everybody is pretty confident in this defense going into the year. And I think the major reason is Patrick Graham, but obviously we've made some upgrades, right? Obviously, Adoree Jackson being the biggest guy, but Ojulari getting Lorenzo Carter back. That's a guy that I got my eye on in the next preseason game that I cannot wait to see how he does, right? Because Carter, we've gotten some good write-ups in the practices. He's coming off the Achilles. I'm excited to see how Lorenzo Carter performs if he does play, and I'm going to assume that he will in this tune-up game before the season starts. That's a guy I got my eye on. Carter's a guy that I've always spoken very highly about, especially when they brought in the new with Patrick Graham, the new defensive coordinator. I thought he fit the scheme very well with the better coaching. I thought he could hit his ceiling. And obviously he suffered the unfortunate injury last year. So could be a big part to this defense this year. And Zeke, man, thank you very much. My mother blanket guy. Are you ready? Playoffs or bust? What's up, Zeke? Playoffs are bust, man, and that's the way it should be. It's the first time, Zeke, and glad to see you, man. I hope you enjoyed your summer. It's the first time since I've been on YouTube that we've had reasonable expectations going into the year in terms of that. Yes, this team, if a couple of things go our way, could absolutely make the playoffs this year. And I'm excited, man. And a lot of it's going to come down to Daniel Jones, and a lot of it's going to come down to the offensive line as the preseason goes along. And listen, I'll be the first to say I'm an optimistic guy. I'm a guy that I look for the good in things. I try to be as unbiased as I can, but I'm an optimistic guy. And as the preseason has gone along, not to say that I'm supremely confident in the offensive line, but it's been better than I thought it would, at least from what I've seen, the first unit. Now, we got a long ways to go. We still haven't seen Lemieux in there, and Parrott to me is still a major question mark. I think Parrott is the biggest question mark on this offensive line. Everybody says Lemieux, and I am far from sold on Lemieux, but to me, Parrott plays a much more important position on the right side. That is imperative that he has at least a mediocre season. I need at least a Cam Fleming level performance from him this year if the New York Giants are going to take that next step up in terms of a unit with the offensive line. It can't be a complete flop. Thomas, though, has looked really good. Hernandez is trimmed down. He's looked really good. Gates, to me, has looked really good. So it's going to come down to Parrott. It's going to come down to Lemieux. But that's the key to this season, man. I think if the offensive line is average, Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. Eddie, man, thank you very much. Hey, Dana, how solid do our backup DBs look like? I wouldn't say, well, I mean, if we're just talking about the cornerback position, because our backup safeties are stacked, I think. I think McKinney and Love, that's pretty damn deep. And Love, I think they came out and said Love's nickname from Joe Judge is duct tape because he could play every position on the field. But I think our safety depth is really good. In terms of the corners, I would say it's about average. I don't think we have, incredible depth at the cornerback position. I think our two starters are definitely well above average. But, I mean, Josh Jackson, I would say it's about average in terms of the exterior corners. I think our safety depth is really good. And we'll see how McKinney does this year. But overall, our secondary is the strength of this team, probably the strongest unit on this football team. But I would say the backups at the cornerback spots are about average. MYG forever, man. Thank you very much. Shame to see Quincy Wilson go down. Yeah, Quincy Wilson and Rice and John, both on the IR. And glad to see your MYG forever. A lot of people rooting for John. He was an undrafted free agent last year, I think, out of Buffalo. And I was impressed with him. I didn't think he was going to make the team. I definitely thought he'd make the practice squad. And maybe he had an outside chance to make this team. But I was impressed with him so far. That was disappointing. Of course, Wilson came up with the interception. He's looked pretty good, too, in preseason. So, unfortunate for both those guys. And like you just said, another depth piece to add to an already loaded secondary. I don't even know if he would have made this team because, like you said, our secondary is loaded, especially at the safety position. But I do think they'll both make the practice squad if they can play at all this year, which is 16 players. But, yeah, I think it was tough sledding for both those guys to make the team. But still, really, really bad luck for both of them. Bear, man, thank you very much. What's the matchup you're looking for most for week 1 against Denver? All right. On offense. On offense, when we're on offense, the biggest matchup for me in that game, and it goes without saying, Bear, especially against a team like Denver, and especially the fact that we're not going to have, in my opinion, a smooth offense to start the year with all these guys that have missed time. Barkley's probably not going to be 100%. Or if he is, I still don't think they're going to give him a ton of touches. It goes without saying, in my opinion, that the biggest key matchup offensively is going to be our ground game against their run defense. But outside of that, and I think we have to attack the middle of the field because if you're a football fan, you know that the exterior corners on Denver are no joke. We have to attack the middle of the field, and that means Sterling Shepard. That means Evan Ingram. He's got to hold on to the football. And maybe a lot of passes out of the backfield to Saquon Barkley, Corey Clement, things like that. And I do think they're going to use Daniel Jones's legs, maybe even more so in that game than others, due to the fact that they're so strong on the outside at the cornerback position. But the matchup that I'm really looking forward to in that game is whoever Patrick Surtain matches up on. And I know a lot of people on Twitter have told me you cannot throw to Patrick Surtain. He's looked great in preseason, and I get it. I think he's a great prospect. I wouldn't have blinked an eye if the New York Giants drafted him. I'm very happy that the Dallas Cowboys didn't end up with him. But I'm going to tell you what, Bear, rookie cornerback, first game of his career, I don't care how good he's looked in preseason. I'm taking shots at him. I'm throwing the ball his way. So if he's matched up on Darius Slayton, if he's matched up on Kenny Golladay, I'm testing him early and often in that football game. And to me, that's one of the key matchups of that football game. Patrick Surtain against whoever he's matched up against, whether that be Slayton, whether that be Golladay. So I think that's a big matchup in that game. And let's see what we got. Sebastian, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Let's go, Big Blue. Playoffs or bust. Shout out from Switzerland and go Zurich Renegades. I don't know what team that is, but thank you so much for being a great supporter of the channel. I appreciate that, man. John, and yeah, man, playoffs. I like it. I like that we have expectations going into the year. And I think we have a realistic shot at the playoffs. I have us pegged for 9 wins. I hope we win more. And I think we could win 10 if we get a couple of bounces that go our way. Looking forward to this season. There's no doubt about it, man. But thank you for being such a great supporter on the channel. And Pete, my man, what's going on, buddy? He says, O-line may limit our success this year. I still think we're good for 9 to 10 wins, but our roster is very deep now, almost everywhere. We could spend this offseason focused heavily on the O-line. Yeah, Pete, obviously that's if Jones works out, right? If Jones works out, we're not going to have much money to spend next year. And the money that we are going to be able to spend, you're going to try to retain some of the players that are on your roster. That being Will Hernandez, that being potentially Peppers, Ingram. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but those are the big name free agents on this roster, and potentially extending players like Barkley and Jones if he had a mega year, which I don't think will happen. I don't think we'll extend Daniel Jones under any circumstances at the end of this year. I think they'll make a prove it another year, even if he has a good year. But if Jones is good this year, I'm with you, man. I think another edge rusher for sure we could use. Like if they could get a top tier edge rusher in the first round, you definitely look at that. And you focus heavily on the offensive line in next year's draft. You try to complete that offensive line. I think this year, Pete, this is the way I'm looking at this offensive line this year. They're young, they're hungry, they're growing. But if we're being honest with ourselves, more than likely, not every one of these guys is going to turn out to be good. This is a year you find out what you got on that offensive line. You hope your young players grow, and if 1 or 2 of them don't develop the way that you imagine, you go out and you try to fill that void in the first round of next year's draft with one of those 2 first-round picks if Daniel Jones doesn't work out. But I'm with you, man. I focus on the offensive line big time next year, early on in next year's draft. Pete, glad to see you, man. Thank you so much for being such a great supporter on the channel. And Kevin Sullivan, what's going on? He says, can you explain how practice squad players are protected after final cuts? Would like to know if we pouch alignment off another roster. Yeah, Kevin, to my understanding, and I'll look further into this, but I'm pretty sure teams get an opportunity, and maybe somebody in the chat knows better than me on this. I'm pretty sure teams get an opportunity to pick who they want, and if they are not claimed, then you could put them on your practice squad. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am, which is why last year we ended up losing on linebacker to the Minnesota Vikings. So I think every team has an opportunity to claim that player and put them on their 53-man roster. And if not, then the New York Giants can put them on the practice squad. That's how I think I'm almost positive how it works. So we'll see. Bears are but I already knew the Bears are starting Dalton Khan. But Kevin, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Let's see what we got. And Nader, man, thank you very much. Let me just read this real quick. Where do you think the Bears will pick? Mark, I think it's gonna be a top 10 pick. I really do, because Dalton to me looks like trash, and we'll talk more about that throughout the stream. And Justin Fields looks good. I'll be the first to say it. From what I've seen for Justin Fields, he looks good, but he's going against second and third teamers. Let's see how he does. Rookies always struggle. I still think the Bears will have a top 10 pick. Take a look at their schedule. It's brutal, which is good for us. Nader, man, thank you very much. Today's birthday day. Oh man, happy birthday, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Got my gifts. Got my new jersey with my last name on it. It's name on it. I can't wait for the season. Is Lisa always a pleasure watching, bro? Stand up. Let's go Pats next week. Well, happy birthday to you, man. And I hope you enjoy that jersey, man. I forgot who it was. Somebody told me they were gonna get me a customized jersey. I was blown away. That'd be cool, man. Wear an entertainer jersey. Maybe I'll just get one on my own. But that's awesome, man. Congratulations, and looking forward to talking Giants football with you throughout the year. Harry, what's going on? Hey, Chris, always a pleasure. Decent O-line play and a healthy Saquon with this defense. At least 10 to 11 wins. Jones will have less on him. I'm in a good. Harry, if we have an average offensive line or even top 20 offensive line, and Saquon Barkley is what he was in his rookie year, which we hope he is, and I definitely think he could be. I'm with you. If we have a close to average offensive line and Saquon Barkley is what he was in 2018, why in the world can't we win 10 or 11 games? I mean, really. Saquon Barkley by himself changes the whole dynamic of this offense. You get a decent offensive line with the weapons that we have. We should be improved in the red zone. There's really no excuses for Daniel Jones. If all that were to come to fruition, there's really no excuses for Daniel Jones to not have at a bare minimum. And obviously I would want more than this, but a bare minimum a Mitch Trubisky-like year when the Bears went 11-5, where I think he threw 24 touchdowns and 12 picks. If you have all that in place, there's no reason that this team can't win 11 games. They got a really good defense. Offensive line, the health of Saquon Barkley is major for this football team this year. Now, let me just get a swig of water real quick. And Miguel says, O-line will shock the world. Multiple All-Pros, book it. Miguel, I friggin' love your optimism. I'm not going to go that far. And they may shock the world in terms of they may be close to league average or maybe even slightly above league average if everything breaks right. But I don't expect multiple All-Pros. I love your optimism, though. I will not go that far. I will not, But I think Andrew Thomas is going to be an above-average offensive lineman this year. I think Hernandez will be an above-average offensive lineman. I really believe that. I think New York Giants fans kind of underrated Hernandez a little bit going into this year. I'm not saying he's great, but I think he's at a bare minimum a serviceable guard, and he looks a lot better to me this year. And maybe I'm reading too much into it in the preseason, but I'm excited about Will Hernandez this year. I'm excited about Andrew Thomas, and we all know we love Nick Gates. He's got that dog in him. How could you not love Nick Gates? He's one of my favorite players on this football team. Absolutely love watching him play, man. To me, he's the leader of that offensive line. And Kayla, what's going on? Jamie says, is Von Miller suspended? I don't think so, but I'll double check on that, Jamie. But I do not think. I think Von Miller is not suspended. I could be wrong on that though, but I don't think I've heard that. Yes, it is a This was actually given to me by one of my subscribers, Jake's. Which I'm incredibly grateful for. He heard on a stream that I said Amani Toomer is one of my favorite players. I didn't have a jersey, so he mailed me and I was blown away. So yeah, it is an Amani Toomer jersey. You need to find a center that position is undervalued in the draft. You would move Gates over to the guard if you were to do that. We'll see how the New York Giants feel about Gates this year. What's up there, the drippy one? Afghanistan says, let's hope. I'd love to be wrong because we'd be a much better football team if that's the case. I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else in the chat, Afghanistan, but I'm assuming you're probably referring to the offensive line. Taco says, if the Mets make the playoffs, if the Mets make a run into the playoffs, do you think because they finished hot, they could be better than the – no, the Mets ain't making the playoffs, Taco. They're not making – the Mets have about as good of a chance to make the playoffs this year as I do to play quarterback for the New York Giants. They're like 7 games out, and they're not going anywhere fast. Let's see what we got here. About the O-line, okay. Yo, Tana, you should get the Bullock haircut. No, I'm good, man. I don't think the Bullock haircut will look good on me. And never apologize for being late, man. What's up there, Udo, man? Thanks for popping in. What do you think of signing DeCastro or Mitchell Schwartz? Maybe just one. Yeah, I mean, Mitchell Schwartz, somebody showed this to me on Twitter, actually. He came out and he said something derogatory towards the Chicago, but towards Nagy. And a lot of people thought the Bears may bring him in because they just had an offensive lineman that got hurt. To my knowledge, Schwartz is banged up, and that's why the Chiefs ended up releasing him. I don't know. I've read reports that DeCastro may even retire. I don't think they're going to go that route, man. I think they're going to pick up somebody that's going to be cut from another roster. If they were going to bring in a player like that, I think they would have already done it. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe ultimately they'll bring in go more of the veteran route. Adam, man, thank you very much. And here's the other thing I'm going to say, too. For everybody that is prognosticating or predicting or hoping that the New York Giants are going to be able to go out there and snag a guy that's going to start on this year's offensive line, I don't see it. You've now had these guys building for over a month in training camp, growing together as a unit. You would screw all that up, all that chemistry that you've been trying to build, even though Lemieux's been out now for a couple of weeks, by bringing somebody else fresh off wherever. I just don't see it. I think the guy the Giants are going to bring in is going to be a guy that provides his depth. Don't expect them to bring in a guy that's going to start day one on the offensive line. Adam, thank you very much. How about Tom's illegitimate son, Carter? How about Tom's illegitimate son? Who are you talking about? Tom Coughlin? Am I missing something? Tom's this might have flown right over my head. Maybe somebody in the chat could. I'm sorry, I didn't get it. Maybe somebody in the chat could tell me about it. So I want to make sure I get that, man. Chris, Carter Coughlin. It was a joke. My bad. I probably should have gotten that. That was bad. That was bad on my part. I apologize. It wasn't bad. Carter Coughlin has been absolutely fantastic this year. But again, like I said earlier, about 15 minutes ago, I want to see him do it against the first unit. He hasn't played, a starting offense yet, but he's looked really good. And the thing that I love about Carter Coughlin is that you could use him so many different ways. I love the way that they used him in the A gap. Yeah, used him up at the line of scrimmage. You could use. He's not so good in coverage, but he's a guy that you can move around. He's a guy that can do a lot of different things. And I think Patrick Graham's going to have a lot of fun with him this year. And he's got an outside chance at the start. Probably not to start the year. They'll probably go with Crowder, but he's got an outside chance to start, if not at the beginning of the year, at some point this year. And I think he's going to see the field. I think he's going to see the field game one. He's going to get an opportunity to play. He's looked really good so far in preseason, and I know he's a fan favorite. And how could he not be? He's a guy that puts on his hard hat and he goes out there and works. So I'm excited about Carter Coughlin, man. And Mr. Burton says, yikes. Why? Because I missed the joke? Yikes. Let's see. That was more over your head than 90% of Thorson's passes against the Jets, a fan with Mike says. Nader, man, thank you very much. I can get you. No, you don't have to do that, man. You don't have to do that. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I get you a customized jersey with the entertainer on the back. No, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the thoughts. You don't got to do that, man. But thank you very much. You think Carter is going to stay? He's got a shot. He's looked great, man. Sally, man, what's going on, buddy? And Jesus says, sup, Chris? Kyle Patrick here. What's going on, Kyle Patrick? Change my name, but the name is the truth. How worried are you about Galladay? What's going on, random man? Thanks for popping in. How worried about Galladay not building chemistry with Jones? God bless. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Of course, I'm concerned. I'm definitely concerned because they've never played with one another. That's something that you should be concerned going into the year. There's no denying it. The one thing I will say, like I've said in the past, thinking about it from an optimistic standpoint, Galladay to me is not the type of wide receiver that, I don't know, really relies on great chemistry. He's a guy that's going to go up and catch the 50-50. That's what he's here to do. He's 6'4". He's not really a route runner. Timing routes, things like that. I think a lot of the damage that he's going to do with the New York Giants are going to be on fly patterns on the outside, at the 10-yard line in the red zone, slant patterns deep over the middle. He's not really a guy, like Sterling Shepard, for example, that relies a lot more on his route running. So that's from an optimistic standpoint. But yes, you still got to be concerned with it. They got to get used to throwing to one another. And I think they're going to come out slow because of it. I think it'll take some time for those two to get some chemistry, maybe 2-3 weeks into the regular season. What's going on, Nations, man? Thanks for popping in. What's going on there, Christian? What's up with Aaron Robinson? Do you think he can move up in the depth chart fast? No, he's been hurt all preseason. He's not going to move up in the depth chart fast. I don't think he's going to get much playing time to start the year at all, actually. I'd be surprised if he did. He's had a core muscle injury, to my knowledge. I think that's what it's been the entire preseason. And, maybe he'll be a guy like Julian Love late in the season if the Giants aren't doing well, and hopefully they are, that get some exposure late in the season, kind of like Julian Love did in his rookie year. But I don't think he's going to have much of a role to start the season, Jake. And New York Light, man, thank you very much. Talking nonsense stream soon. I remember you wanted to do one in April, but it didn't work out. Maybe one of these days I'll do a talking nonsense stream. Football season's coming up now, so I'm going to obviously be doing a lot of football, but maybe one of these days soon, I'll do one of those with Bad Dog. Maybe. If not now, after the season, when during the dead time, I definitely will. Chris, we need I know people always say that we need new jerseys. Week 1, Jones 249 yards, 2 touchdowns. Galladay 4 catches, 70 yards, and Tony 7 catches for 110 yards. What are you smoking, my man? I love it, Singh, but what are you smoking? You think Tony's going to have 7 catches in his first game when he hasn't played all preseason? I love it. I just don't see it. Chris, I don't know why. I just have a bad feeling about Jones. Hopefully, I know why. Taco, he did bad last year. So I think a lot of Giants fans have a bad feeling about Jones going into the year. And via Cheyenne, man, thank you very much. Beal making Curtis Riley look better. Yeah. And Curtis Riley, I hated Curtis Riley. Curtis Riley was a good tackler, just couldn't cover. He was actually pretty good in his rookie season. He was actually a really good open field tackler, just couldn't cover. But yeah, Beal's gone, man. Did you see that jump by Sam Beal? And I think Bobby from Talking Giants clipped it on Twitter. And I remember watching it, obviously, while I was streaming the preseason game. It looked like Sam Beal was seeing ghosts. He jumped like 5 seconds before the ball got there. And you see him trying to pick up a ball that's like 5 yards away from when the ball was actually thrown. He looked completely lost on that play. But, yeah. And Bill, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it, buddy. He says, any Giants fan suggesting our line will be good is clearly smoking the best weed. and should share with all. Yeah, Bill, I hate to say it. I'm hoping for close to an average offensive line, but anybody thinks we're gonna have an elite offensive line, yeah, they're probably smoking something that they shouldn't be right now. Well, I guess now they could, right? It's legal now. Ray, man, thank you very much. Just saw a vid with you talking Garrett. Great vid. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was on. I was on with JD Sports Talk, who's a great guy. I plan on during the Knicks season when we have a lot more to talk about, doing like a weekly Knicks show with him. That was the plan, and as long as JD can fit into his schedule, I'd love to do it. He's a great guy, and I definitely encourage you to check out his channel. I don't know how regularly he's gonna do it, because he's a busy guy between the Knicks and the Giants, but he's going to have giant content up there, and I had a lot of fun going on there. Eli Rax, man, glad to see you, man. I got to get you on the channel soon. That guy's the man. He's on Twitter all the time. Glad to see you in the stream, buddy. And Rodney, what's going on? Hey, Dana, stand up. Best Giant Show channel. Thank you. You don't have to say that. I know you're lying. You don't have to say that, but I appreciate it, Rodney. Not Giants related. But how do you think the Jaguars will adjust to losing their first-round running back for the season? Yeah, of course, the Jaguars lost Travis Etienne. I don't know if they've conclusively said it's for the season, but they definitely said it's going to be for a very long period of time, and he's getting surgery. Regardless, it sounds like he's going to miss the whole season. I think they go right back to James Robinson. I mean, Robinson last year, I think he was among one of the league leaders in rushing yards. They also have Carlos Hyde on that roster, so they have some depth in the backfield. But obviously, losing Travis Etienne is a major loss for that Jaguars team. I think they were going to use him as much as a wide receiver as they were a running back, right? We heard that the Jaguars were interested in Kadarius Toney. So they wanted that gadget-type player, a guy that could do a lot of different things, and that's what Etienne brings to that football team. They don't really have like a supreme number one weapon. What are you looking at there? Who's their number one wide receiver right now? The guy out of Buffalo? What's his name? I can't remember off the top of my head, that was drafted in the first or second round last year. They don't have any unbelievable weapons. The offensive line is highly questionable. And losing Travis Etienne is definitely going to hurt that football team. So we'll see how they work around it. But I think they'll still be able to have a decent running attack. Robinson was pretty good for them last year. Why is Beal still on the team? Your guess is as good. No, I think Beal, here's what I'll say. I think Beal, first off, he's not making the team. If he goes unclaimed, I think we'd put him on the practice squad. He's still a guy that I guess that has some upside, but I don't want him on the team. He sucks. He's been an injury problem since he's gotten here, and he's not making the team. When you look at our secondary right now, look at it. They're not carrying more than 11 guys, and who's he beating out? Is he going to beat out Adoree Jackson? Is he going to beat out James Bradbury? We added 2 corners. You have to think both of them make the roster. You're at 4. You got Darnay Holmes. You got Robinson, the guy that we drafted. You got the other guy that we drafted in the 6th round. That's 7. Then you got Jabril Peppers. You've got Xavier McKinney. You've got who am I forgetting? Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney. Oh, Logan Ryan. That's 10. And I'm forgetting somebody else. He's not making the team. There's no way he's making the team. I don't see any path for him making the New York Giants football team this year. Beal is not ideal. That's right. Oh, Julian Love. Yeah, there you go. There's the 11th guy, Julian Love. Mr. Duct Tape, according to Joe Judge. So it's not happening, man. Beal is still there because he's healthy right now. A lot of secondary is banged up. That's true. We were starting a wide receiver there in the last game. Projected Giants points per game for the season, Young Leo says. What's up, LA Sportsman? Thanks for popping in. What were they let? Let me look actually real quick. They were not high. We know that. They might as well have averaged about 2 points last year, but let me take a quick look last year, what they averaged last year. And I would guess, 19 points a game, maybe 20? Let me see what they averaged last year. Last year, the New York Giants they had 280 points. 280 freaking points. Are you kidding me? Holy crap. What is that? So they carry the 2. That's like 17 points a game. They averaged 17 and a half points a game last year. I'm going to say this year, the New York Giants average a full touchdown more. I'm going to go 23 to 24 points a game. I think they average about 23 to 24 points a game. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe that's a bold prediction. That's what I'm predicting. 23 to 24 points a game. Chris, do you do fantasy football? I do. I wouldn't consider myself like a fantasy expert, but yes, I do fantasy football. And I'm going to tell you why I think we are going to average a full touchdown more a game this year. I think the defense is going to create more turnovers, as I've said in the past, after adding Adoree Jackson. That should help create better field position. Obviously, getting Saquon Barkley back. The offensive line should be improved. Doesn't mean it's going to be great, but it should be improved. You added Galladay. You added red zone weapons. I think we're going to go from the worst red zone offense in football last year to at least close to league average with the addition of Rudolph, Barkley, and Galladay. So, yes, I think a full touchdown difference, I think that's reasonable to expect going into the year. 23, 24 points a game. I think that's reasonable. Let's see. Chris, my wife, that's not football related. Chris, my wife cheated on me. What should I do? I'm not going to get into that, but that's a personal question. So you do you, my man. You do you, my man. I know what I would do. I would I'd see if there was any free agents available. I'd check the free agency wire if it was me. Let's see what we got here. Chris, I'm so pumped for the Knicks. Yeah, I can't wait for the next season, Taco Man. I would check the waiver wire though, my man. Blame Dr. Garrett, Rusty says. Yeah, exactly. And let's see what we got. You should be checking the waiver wire the way the New York Giants should be checking for offensive linemen. You know, all the Giants fans, that should be you right now with females. You should be checking every state, every town in the vicinity. Same thing with the Giants. Let's see what we got here. What's up, Tyler Bestman? Thanks for popping in. Sills better make the 53. Sills to me is still on the I don't know. He's on the bubble. He's still on the bubble, but he's trending in the right direction. He's still in the bubble. And I'm going to tell you why I think I hit the wrong button. I'm back. I hit the wrong button. Miguel, man, thank you very much. You're not wrong, but I have a lot of confidence in Thomas and Hernandez. Gates, in his second year at center, is way better, and I've always liked Parrott. Hey, man, I think a lot of Giants fans like Parrott. I think a lot of Giants fans are super excited for Parrott this year, and they have super high expectations. We'll see. He's clearly a guy with a lot of ability. He had the longest arms of any tackle in his draft class. A lot of people thought he was capable of being a second-round pick the year that he came out, obviously, with Andrew Thomas. So we'll see. He, to me, is the biggest key to this offensive line this year. Hernandez, I'm with you. I'm pretty confident in Thomas and Hernandez, and even Gates this year. Lemieux and Parrott, to me, are major question marks. But if they're good, the Giants could have a really good team this year. Aiden, man, what's going on, buddy? Sup, Chris? First day of college was today. You know I had to rush home to watch the show. What's going on, Aiden, man? Big Packers fan. I know you're excited for this year. And hope you're doing well, buddy, man. And congratulations, first day of college. I remember my first day of college. I was nervous as hell. First day of high school was definitely more nervous, but first day of college, I was nervous as hell. What up, my guy? Hope all is well. 30 minutes left for cut. Yeah, Tyler, I mean, I don't know if they're going to leak it 4, but the deadline is 4. So I have to think, and we'll talk about that when it comes out. I have to think that we're going to get the news about the cuts. I'll be live till close to 5. So I'm thinking we'll get it by then, and we'll talk about it. Listen, Jonathan Harrison looked good, and the whole second unit looked good. But Jonathan Harrison looked really good in that second game. He played pretty much, I think he played every snap. And if not every snap, he played damn near close to every snap. Again, I'm not gonna go crazy though, because it was second unit. It was second and third unit for the Cleveland Browns. They didn't play their starters, but still encouraging nevertheless. And I definitely think he's a guy that's at least a solid backup for the New York Giants on the offensive line. He can play both the center and the guard, and obviously with Solder as well. Outside of that, I don't have much confidence on that line, and Solder hasn't played much either in training camp. What was I saying about Sills? I think he's on the bubble. I do. I think he's on the bubble, but I think the likelihood of him making the team has gone up a little bit due to the fact that the cornerbacks that the New York Giants brought in, it sounds like they brought them in at least partially for special teams purposes. And I think the team that was the reason that Sills is going to miss this roster, if he does, is going to be because CJ Board is good in special teams, but maybe because they brought in a couple of guys from the outside that may be able to take that role. Maybe now they side with David Sills. Obviously, Pettis, I guess, is in the running as well. The other thing I'll say, I think another major thing that'll come down to who gets that 6th spot with the New York Giants at the wide receiver spot is, like, if they feel they want to keep Pettis on this roster and they don't put him on the final roster, he's going to get claimed, and they don't think Sills would, they may put Sills on the practice squad and they may roster Pettis. I don't know. So that may be a factor as well, right? They worry about other teams potentially claiming either one of those two. If they feel like it's more probable that Pettis could get claimed, they may roster him and hope to put Sills in the practice squad. We'll see, man. I think Sills right now has got a pretty good chance, though. Right now, I have him as my wide receiver 6. Osterback's not making this team. Tana, how much do you like Trent? Trent Harris has been playing a lot, Tony, and he actually looked pretty good in that game, along with Nico Lalos has looked pretty good too. Trent Harris, I think, is second on our depth chart. Read that for what you will. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me. He's got a shot. He's definitely got a shot to crack the roster. I think it's going to be tough. Ellerson Smith, though, is probably going to start on the IR or the PUP or whatever. And if he doesn't go against the 53-man roster, I think that gives him or Lalos an opportunity to crack the final roster for the Giants. Obviously, you got your 3 that I think are definitely going to make it with O'Shane Zimenez, Lorenzo Carter, and the rookie Azeez Ojulari. But yeah, if Ellerson Smith doesn't crack, isn't healthy enough to be on the 53-man roster to start the year, I think that gives a guy like that an opportunity to make this team. I like LeWerk better than Glennon. I don't. And I'm with you on that too. Who said that real quick? James says Cam Brown. What's going on, James, man? See you all the time on Twitter. Says looks good at gunner. But yeah, I saw that today. And that's why I think Cam Brown's going to ultimately make this team for special teams. And obviously he's got ties to Coach Chaos, and we drafted him last year. But I think Cam Brown's going to make this team. He's going to be like one of the last guys to make the team, but he's going to make the team. As far as LeWerk better than Glennon, and I know LeWerk looked pretty good. I don't know why, and I'm not saying that I want Glennon to ever play. And if Glennon is forced to play, we're not going to win football games against good teams. We're just not. He's not a starting quarterback. He's a backup. But I don't know why everybody hates Glennon. I think Glennon is call me crazy, and I know Giants fans love Colt McCoy because he won against the Seattle Seahawks last year, and he's a great story, and he's a rah-rah guy, and a lot of people like him from his days with Texas. I think Mike Glennon's a better quarterback. I think we have an upgrade at the backup quarterback position. Colt McCoy could barely throw the football last year. I mean, you remember last year against the Seattle Seahawks, we run the ball like 50 times. We relied on our defense, and when he made throws, you were praying. You're throwing balls into the dirt. I don't know, man. I think Glennon's more talented. Glennon's got a pretty good arm. I think he's a serviceable backup, to be honest with you. I think he's a pretty solid backup. Tana, you see what's going on with Jamar Chase? I did not see that about Jamar Chase. What's up, Chris Lavelle, man? Spot David Sills. You've always liked David Sills, Chris, man. Glad to see you, man. Hope you had a good summer. You have always liked David Sills, man. But glad to see you, my man. I think Ross, Tony, Slayton, Shepard, and Galladay will be locks, and Sills. Yes, that's exactly what it is, PJ. Those 3 are competing for the last spot. And it's going to come down to what they're looking for in that 6th wide receiver. If they're looking for special teams, well, that might hurt David Sills. They may go with CJ Board, and that's kind of what I said since the beginning of training camp. That's why I predicted on my initial 53-man roster CJ Board to make this team. But if maybe by bringing in the corners that they did and they fulfill that role, maybe they ultimately do go with a guy like Sills or maybe Pettis. Tanya, I appreciate it. Michael, I can't say you're my favorite because then people get mad at me, but I appreciate you. You're one of my favorite subscribers. Thank you so much for being here, Michael, man. I appreciate it. Glennon blows McCoy. He does. Glennon play. All you got to do is watch the guy play. And I know like the first preseason game, people watched it. Glennon barely played. Like I didn't get the outrage for Mike Glennon. It was Thorson that sucked. Glennon wasn't good. Don't get me wrong, but he barely played. I watched those 2 guys play. Glennon's a solid backup. I'm not worried about Glennon as the backup. I hope he never sees the field. Chris, was Glennon, well, I mean, he started in his rookie year, Joseph. He actually statistically had a good rookie year. He had like 19 touchdowns and 9 picks. I think he was like 4-9 for a bad Bucs team. But for his career, he's got like 17 more touchdowns than interceptions. He's a serviceable backup. That's what he is. Let's see what we got here. What's your prediction for points against per game, Chris? I'm going to say 19 to 21. Last year, they gave up 357. So that would be about 22 almost points a game. I'll go right around there again. 21, 20, 21, 22. Maybe even less, though, if I'm being honest, because if the offense is better, that should only help the defense. And I think the defense has improved. Now, the only thing you could say, I guess, if the Giants start throwing the ball a lot more, maybe you get into more shootouts. I don't know. But I think the defense is going to be better. And I think the offense being better should only help it. So I may even project a little bit lower than that. I may say 20, 19, 20 points a game against. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm being optimistic. Let's see what we got here. Since we have injuries, issues at wide receiver, I would hope we keep both Pettis and Sills. We might. I mean, they may go with 7 to start, especially with all the guys that they could put on the IR. They may decide to go with 7 wide receivers or 4 tight ends. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. Should we trade for another backup quarterback? No. You know, I don't know. I don't want to trade. Like I said, I'm fine with Glennon as the backup. And the way I look at this year is, this is the year to find out if Jones is the guy. So no matter who the backup quarterback is, you don't want them to see the field. You want to be able to analyze Jones this year. You want to see him grow. You want to see him improve. Obviously, if Jones goes down, you want the best backup possible. But there's not, to me, right now, there's not going to be a guy out there that is going to be a dramatic upgrade over what Mike Glennon is now. And you also have to factor in, Bearded, that Glennon has some chemistry with these guys already, right? He's been in training camp with these wide receivers now for a month, been throwing to them. Unless you could go out there and get a guy like Marcus Mariota, which you're not going to be able to do, I don't see it. I don't see a dramatic upgrade at the backup quarterback position. And to me, it's a non-story. You know, I look at Eli Manning, okay? And granted, Eli was winning. So he didn't have the pressure of having a better backup quarterback, and he had a much better football team. Did you ever see who Eli Manning's backup quarterback was his first 3-4 years in the league? And yes, Eli Manning always stayed healthy, never missed a game. We all know it. Daniel Jones, you worry about that. But 3 or 4 years into his career, you didn't know that Eli Manning was going to be an Iron Man. Jared Lorenzen. And rest in peace, Jared Lorenzen. But Jared Lorenzen was his backup quarterback. Jared Lorenzen ate McDonald's 3 times a week. That was his backup quarterback. Nobody said a peep about that. To me, we have to see what Daniel Jones is this year. I'm not going to sweat over who the backup quarterback is. I want Daniel Jones to play the 16, 17 games and find out whether or not he's going to be the quarterback going forward. And David, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. He had David Carr, but that was later in his career. Lorenzen was to start his career. David, man, thank you very much. Will Barkley, Golladay, Tony, or Rudolph play week 1? I would say yes, and yes. I think all of them are going to suit up week 1. And maybe I'm too optimistic. Now, that doesn't mean they're all going to be playing full capacity. I think Kyle Rudolph is going to be there week 1. I think the media blew that story up. That's my honest opinion. They had very little to talk about. We knew going in that Kyle Rudolph was going to have the surgery. We knew that they were going to ease him back. There were clips of Kyle Rudolph looking fine, running routes before the game against Cleveland. You're talking about a veteran. You're talking about a guy that's going to be used predominantly on the goal line when catching passes and is going to be asked to go in there in 2 tight end sets and block and maybe be used as a 3rd and short wide receiver. I think Kyle Rudolph is going to suit up week 1. I think Golladay is going to suit up week 1. I think Saquon Barkley is going to suit up week 1. If I had to, I would say Tony maybe, but I think they're all going to suit up. I think they all will be there on the opening day roster, unless, of course, they have a setback. But I would say, I guess, Rudolph is the least likely, but I even think he is going to be there week 1. I really do. And Rosa did get signed already. Rosa got signed by the Atlanta Falcons because the Falcons obviously lost A.J. McCarron to an injury. I saw somebody say that he got signed. Yeah, they lost A.J. McCarron to an injury. So they picked up Rosa, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. If Rose is ever going to succeed, that's a pretty good situation. I mean, you got an aging quarterback in Matt Ryan. You're playing in a dome. Maybe you pick his skull for a couple of years. I don't know. Probably. I don't think it'll work out, but maybe he gets a pretty good opportunity there. We'll see. Art Stapleton said that we have to make 5 moves before 4 p.m. Yeah, so we got 15 minutes. I don't know if it's going to come out at 4. You know, obviously it has to happen before 4, but maybe it doesn't come out to the press till 4:30. When it comes out, we'll talk about it. We're going to see where our cuts are live. Looking forward to it. It's only going to be 3 names, though, James, because they got 2 guys on IR. It's going to be 3 names. What's going on, Davey, man? Thanks for popping in. Is there a parking section you typically tailgate at? Kevin, I'm going to go to it. I don't have season tickets, but I am going to the Eagles game this year for sure. And I'm planning on trying to set up a big tailgate. That's my plan. I had a guy reach out to me last year that actually runs a tailgate company. But maybe that'll be something we talk about on the channel throughout the year, and really try to organize that and set up something really nice and big. But I'm definitely going to the Eagle game. I may or may not be going to the Falcon game. I haven't decided yet. Obviously, that's Eli Manning's retirement game, so I'm definitely leaning that I may be going, but I don't want to concretely say that. I'm definitely going to the Eagle game, and I may go to the Link this year, but I'd have to have a death wish. But if that game means a lot, I may be going to that road game, even though it's the day after Christmas. I'm too pumped up, man. I'm too pumped up to go up against the Eagles this year. I feel like I have to be at the stadium. If that game means something, I think I'm going. And the Burner Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, imagine week 1 with all our shiny new toys. Fun. Yeah, hey, man, just be healthy going. Week 1, I still think it's not going to be fireworks blazing all over the field. I think they're going to come out a little slow for all the reasons that I've stated, but it's still going to be cool to see them all out on the football field. And I can't wait to see Saquon Barkley back in a New York Giants uniform on an NFL Sunday. I can't wait, man. Let's see what we got here. November 28th is going to be lit. Yeah, it is, Nona. I'm going to the Falcons game. Would love to see. Yeah, it's Savage, man. Glad to see you here, by the way, Savage, man. How you doing, buddy? If I'm going, I'll definitely let you guys know. Obviously, I'll let you guys know on the channel, and I'll let you know where I'm sitting, so on and so forth. Meet you guys before the game. I'm leaning. I'd say I'm like 55% going to that game, but I don't want to say I'm definitely going to that game, but I very well may be going to that game. Of course, if I go, I can't stream the game, which I love to do. I know you guys love hanging out for that, but that's a game we all know I love Eli Manning. That's my guy. I'd love to be in the building when they retire his jersey. Let's see what we got here. Do you think that the Giants should have drafted a quarterback like Herbert to compete with Jones? No. To me, that's Monday morning quarterback, and it's easy to say now. Yeah, you should have drafted Justin Herbert. He looks like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. But if we're being fair, man, going into last offseason, maybe there was like a handful of, like Jeffrey Abbey. I know he's not watching, but Jeffrey Abbey was leading the brigade to draft a quarterback, I'm sure. But 95% of Giants fans didn't want the Giants drafting a quarterback after the year that Daniel Jones had in his rookie season. And by no means was it a perfect season. By no means did he look like he was a finished product or a sure thing, but he was certainly a guy that you wanted to see what he could grow up of. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy threw 24 touchdowns in 12 games in his rookie year. And yes, I know he accumulated a lot of those stats against weaker opponents, but regardless, he showed promise in his rookie year. He threw 5 touchdowns against the Washington football team at the end of the season. So yes, obviously hindsight 2020. I would love Justin Herbert on the New York Giants, but by no means could I insult the New York Giants for not drafting him. And Gilbert, man, thank you very much. Going to Thursday night game, week 2. That's awesome, man. So you're going to be in Washington. Check Dan Duggan. Okay, let me take a quick look here, real quick at Dan Duggan. That's awesome, man. I've been to FedEx Field once, and it's actually the only road stadium I've ever been to. Here we go. We got the cuts, guys. Okay, I'll show this to the chat real quick. We got the cuts. It's official. I didn't even read them yet. I just saw the cuts. I'm going to read them with you guys. MYB, thank you very much. We going to that game in Philly. I got you, bro. All right, man. I'm going to need backup. You know that, MYB. If I'm going to that game in Philly, I'm going to need backup, man. I'm going to need like 6'5" brawlers, because there's going to be some Eagles fans that are going to recognize me, and they're going to come at me like lunatics. So you know how much I troll them. So. But let's take a quick look here. Let's share the screen. And these are the players that were cut today by the New York Giants. Let me see if I can expand that. I don't think I can. But this is coming out from Dan Duggan. The Giants are cutting backup long snapper Carson Tinker. So that's huge. I might have to make a video on that. Oh my, I am outraged. How do you cut the backup long snapper? How do you do that? Oh, my God, man. So they cut the backup long snapper Carson Tinker. They cut tight end Cole Hikatini, who a lot of Giants fans actually thought had a shot at the 4th tight end spot. Will be one of their other moves, although it's not clear if it'll be cut or placed on IR. 1 move to go. So not all the moves have come out yet. There's 1 more move to go. So you got Cole Hikatini, and the shocker of the year, Carson Tinker. Carson Tinker got cut. They're not going with 2 long snappers this year. Wow. So if Kreider gets hurt week 1, you know who I'm coming for. I'm going after Dave Gettleman for that. I can't wait to see people complain. If Casey Kreider gets hurt week 1, I guarantee you go on Twitter, there's going to be people complaining that we didn't carry 2 long snappers. Steve says, I'm outraged. Chris, if DJ starts, let's see what we got here. I wonder why. It says, I got to go Tinker. All right, Blue Fox. Reese John still safe. Yeah, well, he got hurt. He's on the IR, Heartstorm. Rice John, he's on the IR. So we'll see. He's on the IR. Let's see what we got. I just bought my Tinker jersey too. Oh, that sucks, man. Dave Gettleman burner account. You're gonna have to throw that out, man. Sam Darnold's career as a quarterback will end soon. He sucks. We'll see. He's got no excuses this year, Sam Darnold. This is it. This is his last year to prove whether or not he could be a quarterback in the NFL, right? He's got weapons. You got McCaffrey. You got DJ Moore. You got some solid weapons over there. Not to mention, I think Joe Brady is one of the better. I mean, we'll see how he ultimately ends up doing in the NFL, but was known as a very bright mind at the college ranks that a lot of people were excited about as an offensive play caller for Matt Rule. So I look at Sam Darnold, man. I look at a quarterback that Matt Rule wanted when he first came into the NFL. That's why he was interested in taking the Jets job. He's got his guy, and this is it. Put up or shut up for Sam Darnold this year. You expect new addition Josh Jackson to play this week? I would guess yes, AJ. I would think he would, yes. Tana, digging the hair, bro. I didn't even comb it. I see people talking about my hair. I didn't even comb it, but I appreciate it, man. I cut the sides a little bit so it doesn't look as disgusting on the sides, but I appreciate it, man. And glad to see you here, Dustin, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. I wish we would have fixed our line and kept Eli. He was an Iron Man. He had some battle still left in him, Michael says. Yeah, it was time, Michael. I love Eli, but it was time, man. What's going on, Matthew, man? They had to start to rebuild. I love Eli. And Taco Man, thank you very much. He says, Chris, if DJ starts off bad and the Giants are bad by the trade deadline, in your opinion, with all the money we spent, do you think if a quarterback is available, they will pursue or they will let DJ play? So are you talking about in season, Taco, or are you talking about next year? Well, no, you mean in season because you're saying if he starts off bad and the Giants are bad by the trade deadline, in your opinion. I mean, here's what I'll say, Taco. I don't see a team like if I'm the Giants, I'm not trading for a quarterback unless I feel like he could be a long-term answer or at least like a 3 or 4 year stopgap. So unless it's Aaron Rodgers, which will never happen in season, unless it's Russell Wilson, which will never happen in season, Deshaun Watson, who's not going to be able to play this season, I'm not doing it. I'm going to let Daniel Jones play out the year. And then in the offseason, if he's not the guy, if I come to the conclusion as the general manager that he's not the guy, which at that point we're going to have a new general manager, that's when I look to the trade market or potentially to draft a quarterback. I don't see them doing that in season. I just don't. I don't see them going out there to try to acquire. It's very rare that you see that in the NFL. Like off the top of my head, and maybe somebody, I'm sure there's another instance that I'm not thinking of. I remember Carson Palmer was traded in season. The Bengals traded him to the Raiders, and that was an epic fail. The Raiders gave up a ton to get him. That was a mind-boggling trade. It's very rare in season you see a team trade not maybe like a fringe starter, but like a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't see it. And Bill, man, thank you very much. I don't get the Getty fans. 27 draft picks, his first 3 seasons, and only Dexter has been a consistent, good 75-plus PFF asset for us. How can anyone defend that? Bill, I think here's what I'll say, Bill. I think there's definitely reason to question Dave Gettleman. There's definitely, and listen, we're going to give him the year this year with Daniel Jones. And we're going to see, he rebuilt the team. He rebuilt the team from the ground up in 2019. He should have done it in 2018. It was a huge mistake. There's no denying it. Maybe some of it was Mara influenced. It doesn't matter. Dave Gettleman's the guy with the job title. Pat Shermer wasn't a great head coach. 2019, they started the rebuild. He's done some good things. The defense, if we're being fair, Bill. And again, this is not what he's going to be judged on in 10 years from now. He's going to be judged on Daniel Jones, and he's going to be judged on the offensive line. But the defense in 2019 had Corey Ballantyne starting. The defense in 2019, I don't even remember who was starting. They had Antoine Bethea, who was 9,732 years old, starting at safety. In 2 years, he's taken arguably the worst defense in the NFL, and he's added players like Leonard Williams. He's added players like Jabril Peppers. He's added players like James Bradbury. He's added players like Blake Martinez, Adoree Jackson now. So he's done some good things, but ultimately, If the offensive line is not close to average this year and Daniel Jones is not at least a solid quarterback that's trending upwards at the end of the year, Dave Gettleman's gone. There's no defending him after this year. Period, end of story. And I try to be as fair with Dave Gettleman as I can. I think Dave has done some good things. I think he's done some bad things as well. And I think this year it's put up or shut up time. I think in 2019, I looked at it and I said to myself, this is the beginning of the rebuild. So I knew 2019 we're going to suck. You got a rookie quarterback. It didn't matter what we did. You're not going to be that good. We knew that the team wasn't that good. They got rid of all the contracts. They got rid of Jenkins. They got rid of Beckham. We go down the list. They got rid of all the veterans and they cleaned house. So 19 was a scrap. It was a rebuild. Started from scratch. So, and 20, same thing. You were kind of still rebuilding. You had the off season with a new head coach coming in. You had no, normal off season to prepare. So the first 2 years, I look at that as the rebuild. This year, with the amount of money that he went out and spent, the Giants have to compete this year. They have to have a winning record. And if they don't, Gettleman's in trouble. And it's going to come down to the offensive line and the quarterback. That's my take on Gettleman. I'm going to be as fair as I can with him this year. But I know that he inherited a really bad situation, but he didn't make it better his first year in 2018. Yuri, man, thank you very much. Who drafted more Pro Bowlers, Reese or Gettleman, including in Carolina? Up until now, Bradbury Ingram made Pro Bowl. I'd have to really go back and look at that. I actually did a video on that where I compared not just Gettleman, but every GM in the league to Jerry Reese. Gettleman actually had a pretty good track record with Carolina. He drafted some pretty good players. The defensive tackle was really good. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but I think he was a Pro Bowler. He drafted Darrell Williams in the 5th round, who was a good guard. He drafted Trey Turner, who was an all-pro guard in the NFL, I think in the 3rd round. So he had some good draft picks while he was with Carolina. Yeah, and Reese, obviously, his last 4 or 5 years here was bad. There's no denying it. Outside of the Beckham pick, he was bad. Let's see. We got Tana. Do you think Dexter Lawrence is top 15 at his position? Ooh, that's tough, Jai, because yeah, I'll say yes, I guess, but he's not like it's tough to say because he's not a typical 4-3 defensive end. He's a 3-4. All I can tell you is this: Dexter Lawrence is really good, and I think Dexter Lawrence is going to be really good this year. I think he's going to be even better. That was one of Dave Gettleman's really good picks, in my opinion. And I'll be the first to say, Jai, on draft night, I was not happy with that pick. At pick 17 that year, I wanted either an offensive lineman or I wanted Montez Sweat. And Montez Sweat's good, but obviously playing opposite Chase Young doesn't hurt him. But Dexter Lawrence has worked out. Dexter Lawrence has been really good for the Giants, and he's a damn good player. He's a really good player. I think a lot of people just look at him as a nose tackle. He's not just a nose tackle. The guy could move around. The guy's incredibly athletic for his size. What's going on there? Posh Man X popping in. What we cut, Tinker? What do we do? I know, Mike. No, Sweat didn't go before him, I don't think. I'm almost positive he didn't. Hold on, let me look. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm almost positive he didn't. Let me go back and look. Brian Burns went before him, which is a guy that a lot of people wanted, to the Carolina Panthers, I believe. Montez Sweat, Dexter Lawrence went... No, Montez Sweat went 26. Dexter Lawrence went 17. You had Garrett Bradbury at 18. You had Jeffrey Simmons at 19. You had Noah Fant at 20. Darnell Savage at 21. Andre Dillard, who, if I'm being honest, was a guy I had my eyes on. Hasn't worked out so well with the Eagles at 22. Titus Howard at 23. Josh Jacobs, the running back, at 24. Marquise Hollywood Brown at 25. And Montez Sweat at 26. So Montez Sweat was a guy I had my eyes on. I want an edge rusher there. But yeah, Brian Burns was the edge rusher that went before him. What's going on there, John? Man, thanks for popping in, buddy. I'm going to feast against Philly. I sure hope so. You've killed Philly your entire career, man. Look at those quads. Oh, my God. I'm not into guys, but come on. Look at those quads, man. I can't wait till Saquon's back on the football field, man. You have to admire the quads. Who is your breakout player? I think most fans are going to say McKinney. I feel like that's like a popular one that people are going to use. I don't know if McKinney's going to get the snap count to be able to have like a huge breakout year. I say Carter every year, but every year, he disappoints. So it's hard for me to say him. Wow. I'll go Hernandez, man. And he's going to make me look like a fool. I've said Hernandez in the past as well, but I really like the way Will Hernandez has looked in the preseason. He's slimmed down. He looks like a different player. I'm going to go Will Hernandez, man. I think Will Hernandez is going to break out this year. Let's see what we got here. No, Ingram's my surprise player, not a breakout player. But I think he can be better than people think. Oh my God, Becky, look at those quads. Let's see what we got here. 17 is the pick we got from the Browns. That's where we took Lawrence. Montez Sweat had heart or health issues. That were the question marks and hurt his stock. Yeah, I remember he had something with it. I didn't remember it was the heart, but yeah, he had something that made him drop. Yeah, that trade ultimately for Beckham, we got Dexter Lawrence, we got O'Shane Zimenez, and we got Jabril Peppers, and we got cap space. People always forget about that. Beckham was going to be about $15 million against the cap over the next 3 years or whatever it was, even though we had to eat a lot of it in the first year. And I think those players probably only took up about $5 million between the three of them. So we got about another $10 million of cap space for the following seasons, which kind of resulted in Golden Tate, at least the first year, which obviously wasn't the best of signings. Gilbert, man, thank you very much. Saquon, comeback player of the year, calling it. I love Saquon. It is going to be tough. It is going to be tough for Saquon to win comeback player of the year. And I think Saquon is going to have a terrific year if he stays healthy. But you look at the names that are coming back off injury this year. Dak Prescott. And you would think a quarterback's going to be the favorite just because they put up the numbers. I think there's another really good quarterback too that's coming back. I don't know why Carson Wentz, but I doubt he's going to be a comeback player of the year. And maybe there's one other. You got Odell Beckham. There was a number of players. Oh, Christian McCaffrey also is coming back from injury. It is a crowded field this year. It's going to be tough for Barkley to win it this year, but I do think he's going to have a terrific season. Bosa. Yeah, of course, with the 49ers also. Yes, good call. Joe Burrow, correct. What's up there, King Sean? Man, thanks for popping in. As GM, what would you do if Daniel Jones plays exactly the same as last year? So, Hakeem, so you're saying, sorry, guys, hold on one second. So you're saying if Daniel Jones puts up the same exact statistics, doesn't have any big moments, shrinks in the big spot, throws 11 touchdowns, 10 picks, and it shows no improvement to his game, he's gone. Sayonara. Adios. You can't hold on to that guy forever. I'm sorry, and I'm rooting for Daniel Jones, and I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year this year. But if Daniel Jones doesn't improve this year with all the pieces you added, he's got to go. You got to start over. You got to add another quarterback. Now, I think Daniel Jones is going to be better this year. I really do. But if he does not improve in any way, shape, or form, you've got to make a quarterback change. Chris has more faith in Hernandez than Hernandez himself. How do you feel about how well the Broncos have done this preseason? It means nothing to me. I put zero stock into the preseason. I really do. I put zero stock into the preseason. It means absolutely nothing to me. They've been playing their starters a lot more than most teams. It means very little. Now, am I going to downplay the Broncos and think that they're an easy opponent? No. I respect their defense. I think they have a very good defense. There's no denying it. I think they definitely have a question mark at quarterback, but no matter who you said, preseason means very little to me. I don't care what a team does in preseason. Let's see what we got here. How can you judge DJ behind the pathetic offensive line? Bill, that's a fair point you bring up. That's a very fair point you bring up. Unfortunately for Daniel Jones, if the Giants have the opportunity, and they will, to draft a quarterback next year, because they're going to have 2 first-round picks. So even if the Bears are like 15th pick and we're like the 12th pick, you could couple those picks, you can move up, you could get a quarterback. If you have the ability and you like a quarterback in the draft and Jones does not improve, even if it's mainly the offensive line, and I'm going to be honest with you, Bill, if Jones really struggles this year, I do think it's going to be mainly the offensive line. Because I think if the offensive line blocks, he's going to be decent. He's going to be good enough to win football games. But he's entering year 4 of his rookie contract. And it's going to be the same position the New York Jets were in the year before with Sam Darnold. And if you have the opportunity to reset the rookie clock at the quarterback spot, you got to do it. You got to, if Jones shows no progression, you can't go into year 4 with the ability to draft a quarterback, and in my opinion at least, and not take said quarterback. He has to improve this year. He has to improve. I'm not saying he's got to be a finished product, but he's got to be improved. He's got to be improved. He can't throw 11 touchdowns and 10 picks. He has to be better this year. They spent all that money with all those weapons. He's got to be better. And I appreciate that, Waterfly, man. Thanks for popping in. List the guys you List the guys you want to extend right now in order. Obviously, your opinion could change throughout the year depending on how they play. Well, there's three main guys. I'm not going to go into the secondary guys like B.J. Hill and Lorenzo Carter and, the secondary guys. There's three main guys. That's Will Hernandez, that's Jabril Peppers, and that's Evan Ingram. And to me, Evan Ingram shouldn't even be in the discussion. I don't want to keep Evan Ingram. The Giants might ultimately end up doing it. It seems like the Giants love the guy. I just don't think we're in a place to pay a tight end that can't block a lot of money, even if he has a good year for this football team, being that we're going to be so limited in cap space. So Evan Ingram is gone. I'm not keeping him. I'm getting my comp pick at the end of the year if another team wants to pay him a good amount of money. And then it's between Peppers and Hernandez. And I said it earlier. Somebody asked me this. If Hernandez plays really well, he's my first priority. And I love Jabril Peppers, and I want to keep both. But if you're asking me what's my first priority if Hernandez plays really well, it's Will Hernandez. I want to keep that offensive line intact. I want to keep them growing and building. As much as I love Peppers, we drafted McKinney. We signed Ryan. You could find another safety. It's very rare that safeties even go in the first round of the NFL draft. And I think he fits the scheme perfectly, and I want to keep both. But if Hernandez is good, he's my number one priority. Yeah, I agree. I want to keep both. I would like to keep both. What's up, T-Boy, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. 2019 touchdown numbers and 2020 turnover would make Jones a top 10. To me, it doesn't even need to be a top 10 quarterback at the end of the year. He needs to be an improved one. He needs to be an improved quarterback at the end of the year. I'm not putting it, when I say I'd move on, he's got to be bad for me to want to move on. I don't need a finished product at the end of the year. I need an improved one. I want him to be trending towards the right direction. And I really believe he's going to. When I tell you guys that I think Daniel Jones this year is going to throw, if he plays 17 games, close to 30 touchdowns, I'm not just saying it to get views or get you guys to like my channel. I believe that. I genuinely believe that. And last year, I thought Daniel Jones was going to suck the first 8 games. I didn't say those exact words, but I pretty much did. I thought he was going to struggle for all the reasons I've talked about in the past. This year, I'm going to tell you right now. I am going to tell you right now what I think is going to happen. And get ready for it. The first 2 weeks, there are going to be articles. There are going to be YouTube videos. There are going to be fans on Twitter that are going to destroy Daniel Jones. Destroy him the first 2 weeks. Even if the Giants start 1-1, because Daniel Jones is not going to have any chemistry with these weapons. He's going to be going up against all-world defenses with the Broncos and Washington, and he's going to be asked to be a game manager. He's not going to put up flashy stats. So you're going to have the videos. Let's move on from Daniel Jones. You're going to have the articles. Let's move on. I'm already prepared for that. Week 3 on is where I'm going to start to really evaluate Daniel Jones, this offensive line, and this offense in general. I just want this offense not to turn the football over and this defense to win us football games those first 2 weeks. After that is where I really expect Daniel Jones and this offense to start to really improve. And I think I have reasonable expectations for Jones this year. Some people may call me crazy. I think 27 to 30 touchdowns is reasonable in a 17-game schedule based off the fact that he threw 24 in his first year. And now you got him weapons. Now you got him Saquon Barkley back. He's proven to be a different quarterback when Saquon Barkley's in the lineup. I think he's going to be better than people think this year. I really do. Let's see what we got here. Who do you think will start week 1, Teddy or Locke? I mean, I've heard conflicting reports about Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. It seems like they're leaning Bridgewater. And I don't know if that'll be the case, but it seems like they're leaning Bridgewater. I would prefer Locke. And I know Locke has more upside. And I know Locke, at least from what I've heard, has looked pretty good in the preseason. I think he threw an 80-yard touchdown. But I would prefer Locke because Locke to me is, and I don't think neither one scares me. But Locke to me is more prone to turning the football over. Bridgewater's going to be a guy. He's not going to throw you. Bridgewater's basically going to be what Mike Glennon is. He's a little bit better, obviously, but that's the type of quarterback he is. He's a game manager. He's a guy that's going to go out there. He's not going to make a whole lot of mistakes, and he's not going to make a whole lot of big plays. Drew Lock's a guy that could go out there, and yes, he could hit big plays, but he could also turn the football over at a much higher rate. And I look at that game. I think the team that wins the turnover battle is going to win it. So I would much rather face the quarterback that is more prone to making the mistake. And I would lean that that's going to be Drew Lock. So I prefer going up against Drew Lock. I think they're going to go with Bridgewater, but I don't know. Xerox, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Afternoon, sir. Did you see the picture of Katie's hand? Looks like a mess. And I really like what Darius Williams looks like. Yes, I saw the picture, and somebody pointed it out to me on Twitter. and it looked like he had like a burn mark on like his whole arm. And maybe I could find it. Probably not though. But I saw the picture. I know what you're talking about. And then I said to myself, all right, let me go back and look at the past. And I couldn't really find any clear picture of Kadarius Toney where his hand was showing, because most of the pictures he's got wide receiver gloves on. But I found a picture while he was at Florida in college where he had his whole hand wrapped up, the same hand that looked burned. So I'm thinking that injury occurred while he was in college, but I could be wrong on that. My guess with Kadarius Toney is the reason they're holding him out is the same reason that they were very reluctant to put Will Hernandez back in the lineup last year after he got COVID. They want to make sure he's 100% before he goes out there, and they work him the way that they do in training camp. That's my guess. That's speculation. The Giants haven't come out and I guess concretely said that, but I think that's the reason more so than anything else. Noah, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. And Booze, what's up, buddy, man? I appreciate all you guys for being here, man. 17.8. I don't know what you mean by that, Cecil. Trade for Deshaun Watson and a quarterback position is set for the next 10 years. I mean, Deshaun Watson's not playing this year, and we'll see what happens there. If Jones is just average this year and we could use our 2 firsts to trade up and draft a high upside quarterback like a Trey Lance type, would you do it? I mean, it depends. It depends where we're picking, and it depends on how the New York Giants feel about said quarterback. If they feel like there's a quarterback that's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league, yeah, probably. If he's just an average quarterback. I personally don't think they're going to feel that way, though. I don't think there's a quarterback in next year's draft that's going to knock their socks off. I know there's going to be a quarterback that the fans that don't want Daniel Jones anymore are going to force, that they say they have to take. But I look at the draft that Daniel Jones was drafted in, and you know that quarterback was, if you're a Giants fan. That quarterback was Dwayne Haskins. And we all know that going into that draft, that all the experts said this is a weak quarterback draft class. And again, it's way too early to speculate on the 2022 class, but everybody's saying the 2022 draft class, as of now, is a pretty thin quarterback draft class. And the Giants fans forced Dwayne Haskins. They said, oh, he's going to be great. Myself included. I didn't hate Dwayne Haskins. I wouldn't have been upset if the Giants drafted Dwayne Haskins. And that's what's probably going to happen. But it's going to come down to what the Giants feel. If the Giants felt there was a can't-miss quarterback prospect and Jones does not significantly progress this year, and you have the ability to get him, you have to at least entertain it. But I hope as a Giants fan, obviously Jones takes a big step up this year. Yeah, it's early and you obviously can't know yet, but I'm hearing it's a weak quarterback draft class. But again, yeah, who knows? You don't know yet. Yes, this upcoming one is pretty weak. The only good one is, yeah, exactly. So I think, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Dan Jones is going to be a quarterback. You may not want to hear it. Some of you guys definitely will want to hear it. But some of you guys won't. I'm going to say I'm 90% sure Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback. I might even be more, but I'll say 90% that Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback of 2022. I really believe that. I think he's going to be a quarterback. I do. I think he's going to improve enough this year to get a 4th season with the New York Giants. Let's see what we got here. There's 5 mocked in the first round as of right now. Yeah, I think he's going to be the quarterback of 2022, man. I really do. That's just my opinion. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I think he's going to be the quarterback of 2022. Honestly, I'm thinking it. I'm going to screen you. Please screen record it. Please. Listen, I could be wrong. That's my opinion. Never going to be scared to share it. I think I am definitely leaning that he'll be the quarterback of 2022. What's going on there, Brandon Rogers, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. DJ will be our quarterback for 2 more seasons, Michael said. Hopefully in 10 more seasons. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he becomes the next franchise quarterback. Informer says, I believe it. Yeah. I think if the O-line plays well, Jones will be good. If the O-line sucks, Jones will suck. And that's been the way it's been for our quarterbacks for quite some time. Just says D Jones all the way. Chris, before the season starts like last year, I need Joe Judge to slide in the mud as the team roots him on. I'm with you on that. I think, and by the way, yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. I see people saying get it up to 300 likes. Let's get it up to 400 likes. Come on, guys. Spike the like, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you to everybody for being here. During the season, I'm going to be doing a ton of these midday live streams. Monday, we're going to be recapping the game. Wednesday, I'm thinking about doing like a broad NFL show where we do picks against the spread, power rankings. Obviously, there's always going to be Giants talk. And then Friday, when hopefully the injury report comes out and everything else, we're going to be previewing the next week's matchup. So that's my plan right now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, midday streams. Just have fun, talk Giants football with you guys. And if it grows and people enjoy it, maybe end up doing it 5 days a week. I don't know, but that's the plan right now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What's going on there? Sam Mannix popping in. Do you believe Rudolph will have big involvement in the Giants offense this year? Brandon, I don't know what you mean by big involvement. I don't see him getting more than maybe 450 yards receiving if he stays healthy the whole year. But I do think they're going to use him a lot in the red zone. And I think that's the primary reason why they brought him in. Last year, our red zone offense was horrific. You're talking about a tight end who hasn't dropped the ball in 2 years. You're talking about a tight end that's a big body target that should definitely help in the red zone. That's what he specializes in. That's even what he said when he came to the New York Giants. So I think he's going to have a big role in the red zone. I think that's where he's going to be mainly used this year in terms of a pass catcher for the New York Giants. We only have to cut through. Yeah, we got one more we got to cut, Cecil. I don't know if it's come out yet, but I haven't heard anything. Amen. In order for DJ to succeed, us as fans need to have faith in him and speak great on his name. No, Michael, I'm not going to say that, man. I'm not going to tell people what to think about Daniel Jones. I think fans are definitely justified if they are reluctant to believe in Daniel Jones. But by the same token, I think that there's reason to believe as well. So I'm not going to tell people how to feel about Daniel Jones. But what I am going to say is, what is the point of going into the year not at least going in with an open mind? Like, there are some fans that are just going to be closed-minded and they're going to say to themselves, it's just not going to work. So I already know, like, fast forward till next year. But if you're a fan that's going in trying to enjoy the season, trying to see your team grow, and you're not sold on Daniel Jones, why not go in with an open mind? What's the point in not doing so? If we're being honest, even if you hate Daniel Jones, the guy's never been set up properly. The guy's never had weapons. The guy's been in 2 different schemes in 2 years. Why not go in open mind and see if he can improve as a quarterback and grow as a quarterback? I personally don't see the point behind not going into the season, giving him a fair opportunity as a fan. And a fair opportunity, to me, doesn't mean after week 1, when he goes against the best secondary in football, if he struggles, coming out and saying, oh, we got to draft a quarterback, we got to tank for a quarterback. No, you got to give him 4, 5, 6 weeks with these new weapons in this offense to see if he could grow as a football player. Chris, if you're going to talk Giants during the season, can you allow your subs like me to join? Yeah, well, here's the thing, Matthew. I'm going to Saturday nights. That's the other stream I'm going to do. I should have said that. I did it last year. Saturday nights, what's going on, Flickers, man? Never apologize for popping in late. Thank you for being here. Saturday nights, that's what I'm going to do. Every Saturday night, the night before the game, I'm going to have usually 2 or 3 other YouTubers on. And then we're going to have people videoing, subscribers video, and we're going to take one at a time. And I'll try to get to as many as I can. Obviously, probably won't have more than 7 or 8 because I'm going to be talking to people on the panel. I don't want the show to drag on too long. But yeah, that's when I'm going to have subscribers come on. And maybe I'll have it preset who's coming on. That way, everybody gets an opportunity to come on. But that's when I'm going to have subscribers go on. I have my gripes about DJ, but I also can admit somebody. Yeah, man, we got to give him a chance. At least that's me. I'm going to give him a chance this year. Giants or Washington, who is going to be better? Which quarterback's going to be better? That'll be your answer. If Jones is better than Fitzpatrick, the Giants will be better, at least in my opinion. And Fitzpatrick, if you've been watching the highlights, has not looked good. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen Jones in the preseason games, but Fitzpatrick has not looked good. But yeah, I think whichever quarterback's better is going to have the better football team this year. Can you use Sills as a tight end? I'm going to say no, Rob. I know he's got the height. He's 6'4", but I'm pretty sure. Before I answer this, let me make sure. I'm pretty sure he's like really like thin in terms of like his weight. He doesn't have much weight to him. I think he's like 195. Like, no, he's 211. He weighs a little bit more than I thought. I'm going to say no, though. Your typical tight end is at least like 240. Like Ingram's like he's like 240. I don't think he's built to be a tight end. Nate Dog Sports, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Injury updates, have not really heard anything. I mean, in terms of the guys that have been hurt, we haven't heard much. There hasn't been much clarity on the situation. There hasn't really been nothing new on the injury updates outside of the guys that we know were put on the IR yesterday. And that, of course, is Rice and John was the biggest name, and Wilson, the safety. But in terms of the big names, there's been no updates. Barkley, I guess there's a minor update with that. Saquon Barkley is going to, it sounds like, going to be in contact practice against New England. So he's starting to rev it up a little bit. He's starting to move along in the progress there. Not really any updates with Golladay, not really many updates with Tony, at least from what I've heard. Barkley seems to be progressing. What's going on there in front of my next popping in? Chris, I know it won't happen, but if Luck came out of retirement, would you? Well, we can't hate Sam. I'm almost positive. Maybe somebody in the chat could correct me if I'm wrong. If Luck were to come out of retirement, the Colts still have the rights. They would have to trade him. I'm almost positive on that. Like, he can't just come out of retirement and then just sign with anybody. If he comes out of retirement, he's a Colt. And then the Colts could decide whether or not they keep him or they're going to trade him. And what's up, Chris, man? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, he's stuck in Indy. That's what I thought. Yep. I feel like John is being stashed on IR. He's going to be on the practice squad, Rice or John. Yeah, the Colts have the rights to. Yeah, so they'd have to trade him. You're not. It's not like he's just going to be 31 other teams could sign the guy. Let's see what we got. After all sad and angry moments with Evan Ingram, if he has a monster season and makes the playoffs, should he stay with the Giants? I mean, Dustin, I would love to have to really think about that question at the end of the year, because that would mean he had a really good year. But even if he had a really good year, I'm leaning no. I'm still leaning no. But we'll find out at the end of the year. If he has a great year, maybe they do. I don't know. But I'm still leaning no. We don't have that much money. And I just don't think we can afford to spend a lot of money, even if he was really good this year, on a tight end that can't block. I just don't. Not with the other players that we have to keep on this roster. So I would say no, even if he had a great year. But I would love for that to be up for discussion at the end of the year, because that would mean that Evan Ingram had a good season. Let's see what we got here. Thoughts on Sam Beal? Sam Beal's gone. Sam Beal's gone. He's gone. He's not making this team. Maybe on the practice squad, but he's not making the team. Hopefully he has Jake. What's up, Jake, man? Glad to see you, buddy. Where's Jake? Jake says, hopefully he has a good year. Then we could get better trade offers. Well, that's true too. Well, you'd have to trade him from within season, because he wouldn't be on the contract after this year, but you'd have to trade him from within season. JD, man, glad to see you, buddy. Cheers, Data. How pumped you to stream the game on Sunday with the Star? Oh, I can't wait. I mean, obviously the regular season, I'm going to be 10 times more pumped, but yeah, I can't wait to see Daniel Jones, man. I'm excited. And again, it means nothing. Like, here's what I'm going to say. If Daniel Jones goes out there and throws 3 picks, I'm not going to flip out. And if Daniel Jones goes out there and throws 3 touchdowns, I'm not going to flip out. On stream, I'm going to be excited. But after the fact, I'm going to say it doesn't mean much. He doesn't have his weapons. It's a dummied down playbook. You're not really seeing the true offense. But it's going to still be fun and exciting to see Jones and the first-team offense out there for a half. And I'm excited to see how the offensive line looks as well. Vin, man, thank you very much. Just got in. What did I miss? Anyone got cut? Yeah, so far it's been the fifth string tight end, however you pronounce the guy's name. What's his name? Cole Hikatini, the tight end prospect, and Carson Tinker, the long snapper. I haven't got an update on who the third cut is. We'll see if that's a big name, but nobody noteworthy yet in terms of the last cut for the New York Giants. Hardaway, man, thank you very much. If this offense doesn't increase its scoring average from 17.5 to, say, 25, this would be a 7-win team. DJ must throw 30 touchdowns, or it's time to move on. I'm not going to put it, again, I agree that the offense has to be better. But I'm not going to put, like, a stats restriction. For me, Daniel Jones this year, and definitely we need to score more points, and definitely he needs to throw more touchdowns than he did last year. But for me, like, if you tell me going into the year, Mr. Hardaway, that Daniel Jones throws 30 touchdowns, but they're kind of like the same way that he did in his rookie year, where he just beats up on crappy teams and he throws 5 touchdowns against, I don't know, the Falcons, and 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Like, they have bad defenses, and he's mediocre at best against the good teams. Or if you tell me the guy throws 25 touchdowns, but he's really good in the 2-minute drill, he has some signature moments in terms of late game situations, winning football games, I'm taking option 2. All day, every day. So that's why I'm not going to just measure it by stats. To me, it's more situational. How does he do in the 2-minute drill? How does he do in big spots? That's what I'm looking at more so than his final touchdown total. But he definitely needs to be improved. Ian, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, is Barkley playing Sunday? I'm going to lean no. I hope he doesn't, to be honest with you. I don't want to see him out there. Well, but he may, and if he does, maybe it'll be a drive just to get just to get. If you remember his rookie year, I think he had like one carry in the preseason. It was a big run. Maybe it was one drive. I don't want to see much of him if he's going to play. He is going to be getting some contact in practice, though. At least that's what it sounds like. I'm going to lean that he does not, though. It's more about wins than stats. I agree. If he makes the playoffs here, he's staying. If the Giants make the playoffs this year, Dan Jones staying. What's going on, my man? What's going on, Jamie, man? Let's hope we can actually have an adventurous offensive plan. If so, how long does Garrett get if it sucks? Garrett's not lasting after this year if the offense sucks. Now, maybe you're asking from within season. I think they give him at least half the year. And at that point, if the offense is horrible, maybe they relieve him of his play calling duties. Or maybe I don't think they'll change the offensive coordinator in season, unless they just completely fire Garrett. But I could see them relieving Garrett of his play calling duties in season and maybe trying to change things up. If I had to guess, I think Garrett probably stays with the Giants the whole year. But if the offense sucks, I could see them saying, listen, Judge steps in and says, I'm going to start being more hands-on with the play calling duties. Do you think Gettleman will get fired if we don't make the playoffs? Hard to say, but obviously he needs to have a much better team this year. Hard to say. If we win 9 games and miss the playoffs, but Jones is much improved and the offensive line is pretty good, Gettleman probably keeps his job. So I don't want to say that we definitely need to make the playoffs for him to keep his job, but the team needs to be much better. What's going on, Jersey Light Man? Thanks for popping in. Have you talked to Lauren Brunson at all? He's wilding out, hyping. Oh, my God. I have not Charles Barkley. I have not gotten the opportunity to talk to Lord Brunson, and I like Lord Brunson. Seems like a nice guy. He roots for a horrible football team, but he might take drugs. I'm serious. He might take drugs. And I don't know many of those hurt season hats he sold. Yeah. I've seen him post on Twitter that he said that Jalen Hurts is as good as Trevor Lawrence was coming out of college. That's true. You could look it up on his Twitter. I think it's his pinned tweet. So yeah, I think he's out of the loop, man. Let's see what we got here. How do you think the edge rushers will do this season? Aziz does great. This defense will be scary. I think the edge rushers should be much better this year, and I think the main reason is Adoree Jackson, and I think they're going to have better coverage. So I think that's going to give the edge rushers better opportunities. What's up there, Mr. Fox, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. If we win 5 games or less, hold on, let me read this question. But I don't even want to think about this because we better not win 5 games or less. If we win 5 games or less, do you think Mara will clean house? Yes. Well, maybe not Judge, but everybody else, yes. 100%, yes. Other than Jones, where is the biggest injury impact on this team? I think it's the left tackle. I really do. I think it's that's what I would say any year, though. I think the left tackle is the second most important position. So if Thomas goes down, we're in trouble. I would say and Barkley too. I mean, you saw what Barkley being out did to the offense last year. Obviously, we became a different offense, so he's got to be healthy as well. But I would go with Thomas before anybody else because of how important left tackle is. And on defense, Blake Martinez, even though I don't think he's the best player on defense, you could definitely make an argument as the most important player on defense. He's the quarterback of that defense. We're thin at the middle linebacker position outside of him. Bradbury, of course, would be huge as well. But I would say Martinez and Bradbury probably the two guys we could least afford to lose on defense. What's going on, Dylan? I don't know, Aaron. I mean, I have to see how he does this year. If he has a great year, probably, because I don't see how we're going to be able to pay him. I'm feeling really positive about our team this year. Jones is going to throw some dimes. I love it, Deception. The wide receivers are a lot better, but yeah, Barkley's huge for them. Yeah, Barkley, and Galladay's obviously very important as well. Who do I have to talk to get Devontae Downs cut? Dave, I'm not going to promise you because Devontae Downs made the team last year. So obviously the Giants thought somewhat highly about him last year. And he was actually, if you remember, he was actually the starting middle linebacker going into the year opposite Martinez. I think he was for game 1. I don't think he's making it. He better not make the team. He better not make the freaking team. I mean, it's been abundantly clear. Carter Coughlin's much better than he is. He better not make the team. He sucks. What's going on there, Eddie, man? Thanks for popping in. I expect Carter to have a good. If he stays healthy, I think Carter should have a good year. Will Galladay be ready? I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm leaning that yes, he will be. I think the Giants are being cautious. I'm going to go for about another 15, 20 minutes, guys. I'm eating early dinner because then I got to go back and I'm dog sitting actually for my friend. He's away in Disney World for 2 weeks. So I got to check in on the dog, feed the dog, hang out with the dog. So that's why I got to end the stream a little earlier than I normally would. I usually go to about 5:15, but we're going to call it about 4:45. Let's see what we got here. Zoe Carter in a contract year if healthy. If he's healthy, I think he's going to have a great year. And I think he fits the scheme very well. Hey, Michael, I appreciate that. I don't know if that's true, but I appreciate that, man. I just love hanging out with you guys. And Afghanistan says, thumbs up the stream. Afghanistan, one of my best mods, one of my best subscribers. Been with me forever. Did they cut Hardage? Was that the third cut? Was that the third cut? Did they cut Hardage? Or are you just saying that? Do you think Jones would have put up significantly better numbers if he continued in Shermer's system? Last year, JC, I'm going to say yes. But I still don't think he would have had a great year last year, but it would have been better. Because he wouldn't have to learn a new scheme. Two, I think he was really a good fit for Shermer's offense. It's a big reason, at least in my opinion, why we drafted him. But he still didn't have Barkley last year. And so I don't think he would have put up great stats anyway. But it would have been better. He wouldn't have had to learn a completely new system. And I do think that system fits him better. Thanks for the stream. You got it, James Bond, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Eagles are going to be the worst team in the division. Yes. I think everybody in this chat, outside of Eagles fans, will agree with that statement. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's probably some Giants fans that actually think the Giants will be the worst team, but I definitely do not. Could you see us double dipping at the O-line position with our 2 first-round picks if Hernandez walks? I mean, deception. It's way too early. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? No. I think if you ask me right now, if we're not taking a quarterback in the first round next year, I think an edge rusher and I think an offensive lineman. And that's without me knowing all the prospects and how they're going to rank going into the draft and what our needs are going to look like at the end of the year. I do think an offensive lineman will be one of our top priorities, but I don't think we would double dip. Shane, probably in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the stream. Chris, grow out your hair. I grew out my hair last time and it looked like a mess, but I might just keep trimming the sides to keep it clean and growing it out. I don't know. You guys seem to like the hair today. Brandon Rogers, man, thank you very much. Do you think anyone in the NFC East wins 10 plus games? Brandon, man, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say somebody in the NFC East has 10 wins this year. And it's for the same reason that I've talked about several times in my streams. Last year, Brandon, there were 5 new head coaches in the NFL. It was obviously the virus, right? There was no preseason. It was not a normal offseason. So at least in my opinion, I think in most people's opinion, any team that had a new head coach, they were at a disadvantage, more so than a normal year because of that. Out of those 5 head coaches, 3 of them were in the NFC East. 60% of the new head coaches were in one division. And Dak Prescott went down, the Cowboys' most important player, and Saquon Barkley went down, the New York Giants' most important player. So I think the NFC East is going to be better than people think. I think they're going to be better than people think, and I do think there will be a team that wins 10 games in this division this year. Yes. DJ will run this division. Love it. Love it. Love the optimism, Zay. Should the Giants think about signing O.J. Howard if he's cut? Why would O.J.? I mean, I don't. Is that a rumor? Gettleman drafted a running back with a terrible offensive line and then a quarterback after trading him. The team's only. It was a horrible pick. Well, I don't even want to relive it anymore. But I completely understand why people did not like the Saquon Barkley pick. We were not set up to support him. We didn't have the offensive line. We were not a win-now team. He was a great player. I still think he's a great player, and I still think he'd do great things for this football team. So I understand it, but I'm not gonna keep reliving history. I like what the team's done the last 2 years. I'm not gonna keep going back. How much longer are we gonna go back to 2018? I mean, we could do it. We'll do it at the end of this year again. Then we'll do it in 2022. Then we'll do it in 2023. Then we'll do it in 2024. How many times are we going to go back to that? And I'll continue to say, and is my honest belief, and maybe you felt differently, Mr. Hardaway. Oh, there was a roster move. Hold on one second. Let me see what Art Stapleton said. Yeah, okay. So Hardage is the last. Montre Hardage is the last cut today. So nobody of significance. It was Tinker, it was Hikutini, the tight end, and Hardage, the defensive back. So nobody of significance. So yeah, nobody crazy. So we're down to 80, guys. We're down to 80. We got 27 more players that are going to be cut in a week. I will probably have a video up this week predicting the final 53-man roster for the Giants. Now that these cuts have come out. But again, it's hard to predict because you don't know which players are going to be put on the IR and, which players are going to be on the PUP. But, yeah, I'll probably do a video on it. We'll see. But looking forward to seeing who ultimately ends up making this roster. Chris, are there any free agents you think we will go after? I know, not any high profile ones. No, we don't have any money. We backloaded our contracts. We spent our big money this year. So I'm going to say no. Don't expect the spending spree next offseason. I just don't see how it's possible. I'm surprised Cole got cut. Wasn't he apparently doing well? Yeah, a lot of people thought he had a shot if we went 4 tight ends. They thought he was doing pretty well. Obviously, it's not crazy that he didn't make it, but the fact that Rice and John got hurt, maybe it is a little surprising that he did get cut. Jake, what that tells me, we're going with 3 tight ends. I think that's pretty clear. I don't think we're rostering 4 tight ends to start the year. At least that's what I would predict, based off of that. The editor can say to Target Sports, who do you believe will be the impact player at each position? Well, quarterback's obviously Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Golladay at the wide receiver is going to be the biggest impact if he could stay healthy. Obviously Ingram at tight end, I would still say he's going to be the biggest impact. I know Giants fans hate him if he could stay healthy. Defensive line, you got to go with Leonard Williams. You could argue he's our best player. Linebacker, Martinez. Edge rusher, I will go if he's healthy with Carter. But many would argue Ojulari. Cornerback, Bradbury. And safety, I'll go with Peppers. So there you go. Early week 1 predictions versus the Broncos. I think it'll be low scoring. I will wait to see what the teams look like going into the week. I don't know if Galladay's going to be playing for sure yet. I don't know who the Broncos quarterback's going to be yet. I don't know if Barkley. But if you ask me right now, I'm picking the Giants, and I think it's going to be really close. Denver has traveled to the East Coast 11 times over the last 3 years. They're 3-8. I think that is a factor. The fact that they're traveling across the country week 1, that should be an advantage for the Giants. I think the teams are very similar. They both have strong defenses. They both have a questionable offensive line. They both have a questionable quarterback. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think both teams are going to try to grind out the clock. And I think it'll be like a 17-14 type game. That's what I'm going to have it. Like the Giants 17-14, 17-13, 20-17, somewhere in there. But I'll go like 17-14 Giants. Broncos and Lock look pretty. Yeah, I know. It's preseason, but they did. Am I the only one that thinks Golladay signing was a huge waste of cap? We'll see. We'll see in the year, Joshua. If he doesn't play, yes. You have to see the impact he has on the offense. But I don't know how you can look at last year and not think that we needed a number 1 wide receiver. If he's not a number 1 wide receiver this year, yeah, it was a huge waste of cap. I think he fits the scheme. I think that's why the Giants were attracted to him. But he's got to be healthy. If he's a number 1 wide receiver, though, no, I will definitely argue that it was not a waste of cap. The Giants have good luck with Darius, Kadarius, and Rodarius. Well, I don't know if you could say it's been good luck yet with Kadarius Toney and Rodarius Williams. They haven't played yet. But, yeah, I guess you could say they like the Ariases. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if you're a Marvel fan, but Spider-Man. Oh, it looked great. Yeah, I watched it, Queasy. It was great. Golladay and Jones fit so well. Jones is one of the best deep ball throwers, and Golladay specializes. Yeah, no, listen. To me, it just comes down to injuries with him. If he's healthy, I think it's a great fit. I look at the Garrett offense. They needed that. They needed that. They needed a tall exterior threat to stretch the field, and that's what he provides. in the Eric Coryell scheme. So I completely understood last year when there were rumors that they were looking to trade for him. And we needed a tall threat for Daniel Jones. And hopefully he's that Plaxico Burress for Eli Manning. That's what we got to hope. He's got to stay healthy. Yeah, we announced the cuts. It's nobody worth talking about, Mob. It was Hikatini, the tight end. We got rid of the backup long snapper, and we got rid of Hardage. So nobody that was going to make this team. Got my fantasy draft today. What's up, Sports Info? If I didn't say hello to you earlier, you're the man, dude. May or may not have spent more than 200 to enter, but it's okay because I'm gonna. Well, good luck. I got about 100. I think my league's about $150. I had my draft already. Actually, I can show you my team real quick. You know what? I'll do that. We're gonna end this in a couple minutes anyway. I will show you my fantasy team. You guys can make fun of me if you don't like it. Let me log in real quick. Actually, you know what? I'll just read it to you guys because I don't remember my password on my computer. It's not saved for some reason. My auction league team went horrible. But I'll read it to you guys real quick. I have to make a trade in my auction league. Okay, so this is my team. In my main league, which is a keeper league, I already had my draft. And it's a 2-quarterback league. So you have to start 2 quarterbacks. Actually, both leagues are 2-quarterback leagues. You have to start 2 quarterbacks. I got Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson at starting quarterback. So obviously Lamar Jackson is the 1. Kirk Cousins is a 2. I got Saquon Barkley at running back, which is looking good because I think he's going to start week 1. I got Antonio Gibson as my RB2. Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Robert Woods as my 3 wide receivers. I got Kyle Pitts at the tight end. And I got Chase Claypool as my flex. Defense, Washington. I got ETN, who's hurt now, on my bench. Javonte Williams, because it's a keeper league. I drafted a young running back. Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. I got the quarterback duo in San Francisco as my backup. Devontae Smith, I know. He fell into my lap. Nobody took him. I didn't want to draft him, but I did. Curtis Samuel, Devontae Booker to handcuff Saquon Barkley. And I just picked up Marquez Callaway last night because of how well he looked with the Saints. And then my other team, I got, let me see. Let's see. Where's my other team? This is it's PPR. This team sucks. I hate my team. It was an auction league. I've never done an auction league before. This team is horrible. I have great wide receivers. I got Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr as my 2 quarterbacks. And then the same thing, that the San Francisco duo is the backups, Lance and Garoppolo. I really like Trey Lance. And then I got Alvin Kamara, great number 1. My second running back, I don't even know who it is right now. I've got J.D. McKissick. I've got Nyheim Hines. I've got Devontae Booker. I got to pick somebody else up. My second running back is horrible. Then I got Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper in the flex, TJ Hawkinson, and my 5th wide receiver is DJ Moore, and I got Sterling Shepard. So my receivers are stacked. I have to trade a receiver to get a better running back because right now I don't have an RB2. So those are my fantasy teams right now. My quarterbacks are obviously not very good, but my wide receivers are good. It's an auction league. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a trade. Yeah. The wide. I just kept getting too good of deals with the wide receivers, so I just kept picking them. It's 10 people. Both leagues are 10 people. Yeah, my wide receivers are insane, man. I got 3 top 10. McLaurin's probably top 10, and I got 2 of the top 4. And then I got Cooper's top 15, and I got Moore's top 20. 10 in both. Hey, Dana, you think we still need Austin Ryder? I don't think we're going to get him. I don't think we're going to get him. No, it was an auction league, man. It wasn't it was an auction league. It wasn't a draft. Brown will get more of the targets. Trade Hopkins. Yeah, if I get to, I'm hoping I can trade Hopkins for a top 7 running back. That's what I'm hoping. But I know running backs are super thin. Chris is a master in standard fantasy leagues. You go running back every pick. Flickers, I got Kamara, who's going to be awesome because they got nobody else to give the ball to. But my second running back, I just kept feeling like people were overpaying. But you're right. I should have overpaid for a running back. What's up, Chris? Do you think we will keep Shep if he has a good year? No. No, I don't. And I'd love to keep him, but no. I think we're going to need that money. I think he's going to get cut. And I think Tony next year will inevitably have a bigger role. That's what I'm guessing going into the year. But yeah, I don't think Shep will be back after this year. I hope I'm wrong. I love Sterling Shepard, but I just don't see it. I don't see it in the budget for the football team, much like I didn't see it in the budget for Dalvin Tomlinson going into last year. But, let's enjoy the year, and maybe Shepard have a Pro Bowl year, and maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll find a way to keep him on the football team. But, guys, I am going to close it out. I got to eat. But I just want to say that I always love doing these streams. I have so much fun with you guys. Thank you guys so much. Got a little fantasy talk there at the end. If you guys are interested in fantasy football, when I do my broad NFL talk, maybe I'll mix a little fantasy in as well. I'm going to do power rankings, picks against the spread. That's going to be a stream in itself. It's going to be broad NFL, power rankings every week. And then I'll probably clip them and make them separate videos so you don't have to be there for the stream and you don't have to watch the whole stream to see my power rankings. It'll be like a 15, 20-minute video. I'll clip that. I'll clip my picks against the spread. And maybe I'll do a fantasy segment as well. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But, guys, I'm going to get something to eat. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure I'll be live again soon. You guys know it. Actually, the Talk of Giants show is going to be, I think, Thursday on my channel. So I'll be live on Thursday for Giants. And then Sunday we'll be streaming the game on Bad Dogs channel. So, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon. And as always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.